Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing for the national anthem. You may be seated. All right. Roll call and verification of quorum. Chair Yalman-Chile.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Lazo,
Present.
Corelli. Corelli. Absent. Trainer. Absent. Morissette. Absent. Temple.
Present.
Guerrero. Guerrero. Absent. Blanco.
Present.
Polera.
Present.
Caringal.
Present.
Datlas.
Present.
DeCara.
Present.
Butler.
Present.
Conti. Conti. Absent. Shanun. Lazier.
Here.
Fintel.
Present.
Hamid.
Present.
Rose.
Here.
Whitson.
Here.
Brown.
Present.
Similo.
Present.
Humayun.
Present.
Patel.
Present.
I am present. Luthra is absent. Acosta. Absent. Borges. Absent. Lopez.
Present.
Hashimi.
Present.
Duke. Absent. Torres.
Present.
Holmes.
Present.
Hurst.
Present.
Fuchs.
Present.
Lacasse.
Present.
Freehafer.
Present.
Federico.
Present.
Pullman.
Present.
Richmond.
Present.
Vasquez. Absent. Cairo Cervera. Absent. DeMarla.
Here.
Mittal. Absent with 32 out of 43. Quorum is verified.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, take a look at last meeting's minutes, and I'll take a motion. Hurst.
Motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
There's been a motion to approve last meeting's minutes. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Temple.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
There's been a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Are there any objections? Take a look at it while it's in its form. All right, seeing none, it stands approved. Open forum. Are there any non-senators wishing to speak during open forum? Seeing none. Announcements from the student body president. Who's giving that announcement? No one? I'll give it myself. All right. Oh, Grace. Oh, sorry. Welcome, Grace, to the front.
Hi, Senate. I hope all is well. First, thank you so much for your help and support at Day at the Capitol on Tuesday. I am so proud of all the work that was accomplished on this lobbying trip and hope that you all had an enjoyable experience. Exciting news, there's now a hot food vending machine on the Rosen campus. So thank you to the business services team for their collaboration on this initiative. The backstory to this was they used to have the bookstore that had some food options, and then the bookstore closed. So we were able to implement this vending machine option for Rosen students. And finally, Representative Maxwell Frost will be coming here tomorrow to the Charge On Chamber at 5 p.m. for a town hall event. They'll have the opportunity to speak. This will be an opportunity for him to speak with UCF students on important topics. There will be food, and please share with your constituents. Any questions, please feel free to email me at sga_prez@ucf.edu. Have a fantastic evening and weekend.
Are there any questions for President Greenaway's announcements? Temple?
Well, I guess I'm not sure if the supervisor is able to answer this, but will yeah, well, I just wanted to note because the announcements for some of the for Maxwell Frost's roundtable tomorrow, it does mention that Representative Raskin is also going to be in attendance. Will he still be able to, or?
I personally have no idea, but feel free to email Brandon. He should be able to respond, but I would like to think whatever graphics are out there are accurate.
Good time as any to talk about politics with them. Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding the student body president's report? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the student body vice president, none. Comptroller's report, Supervisor Myers. Are you
I have that
doing
too.
that as well?
Okay. So the CRT balance is currently at $180,763.12, and that is at a 0.87 reversions rate. And FAO balance is currently at $69,193.77 at a 0% reversions rate.
Awesome. Are there any questions regarding the comptroller's report? Seeing none, thank you. Attorney General's report, Supervisor Myers.
Good evening, Senate. I'm super proud of everyone's performance at Day at the Capitol. You all did amazing and showed true professionalism. I emailed my first of the month revisions today. If you see any errors or mistakes, please feel free to contact me. My apologies for not being at Senate these past 2 weeks. I will be back in the routine for the following week.
Are there any questions regarding the AG's report? Seeing none. Cabinet forum, none. Announcements from Chief Justice, none. Announcements from the Supervisor of Elections. Ms. Myers, once again.
Okay. Hey guys, good evening. So I just wanted to remind you that if you would like to run for re-election, candidate applications are officially due in less than 15 days. So that's going to be February 16th at 5 p.m. is the due date. I have the link to the application with the list of info session and just general election timeline info linked in here. There are officially 9 info sessions left. The next one's going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m. So hopefully y'all aren't here too late. And that's going to be in room 223. Please feel free to share any of this information with anyone you think would be interested. And then Brody, here's the important one. Brody will be emailing you all emails to forward to your RSOs that you represent and work with. So there's going to be highlighted information in there for you to either fill in like the RSO's name and like your signature line. And then also, if you can, I would really appreciate it if you like wrote in a couple sentences about why you think the RSO you work with would be a good like body to be represented in Senate, and why their members should apply. And then, yeah, those will be sent out tonight. So if you could do those as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated. Then also, if you would like to help EC Table, as it is kind of crunch time now, I have the link to our Google Drive. And yeah, email me or ask if you have any questions.
All right. Are there any questions regarding the Supervisor of Elections? Torres?
My question is, how long do the info sessions usually last for?
So it kind of depends. So for like, they'll last a little bit longer if it's people interested in running for the presidency, just because there's a couple more rules and regulations that go into that. But For the Senate ones, they've generally been lasting like 20 minutes. So also if you can't come at like the selected time of when it begins, I sit in the room for like the entire hour. So if you like are late for class or something, you can come in like 30 minutes later and I'll just do it again.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Next, that's it. Thank you. Announcements from the Activity and Service Fee Committee Chair, Chair McClellan.
Good evening, Senate. Thank you to those that were able to make it just before this meeting started. I held an informational session. I will be holding another one next week. This time it'll be at 6 p.m. right before the budget special session. That is going to be on February 8th, right? That'll start at 7 p.m. normal Senate time. And I'll go over for you senators and anyone who's really interested, but for the senators specifically, so that you guys know what you're going to be doing, how it works, what you're voting on, context, how things are different. And I will have a finished presentation for you all next week. The budget committee has one last meeting, though, of just the committee. That is going to be next week as well, where we're going to finalize the proviso language that you will then be voting on later in the week. So we'll be having that, and then we're pretty much done. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll answer them now.
Are there any questions for Chair McClellan? Seeing none,
Thank
thank you. Just letting you know, if you go into that special session not knowing anything, you will be leaving here at 12 a.m. Just telling you out of experience. So I would highly recommend that you either watch 16 hours of film or you come to a short 1 hour informational session. So pick your poison. You have 3 options. And that's just out of honesty. Announcements from the Scholarship Committee Chair, none. Announcements from the Senate President. First, before I do that little presentation, I'm not going to beat Daedalus to this. I'm going to let her have that. Okay? She got my text this morning. Senate exec meets next week at 6 p.m. Just like McClellan said, we will not only be giving you guys announcements on our beautiful banquet that will be happening, but you guys will be learning more about ANSF and how you can advocate in your seats, because you're going to have to be here regardless. So, just saying. And then I will be out on February 15th. I will not be here. Pro Temp DeMarla will be here to conduct the meeting. So please go easy on her. And I will just do this quick presentation for you guys, and I will take questions afterwards. I know many of you guys have been asking me about President's Leadership Council, and I'm here to give you guys the tea on that. So Brody, if you can put up that presentation, that'd be great.
Okay, y'all. Here's what a lot of you guys have been waiting for, is the President's Leadership Council 2023 to 2024 recruitment. You can go to the next slide. You can play the video on your own time, respectfully. Okay, I'm trying to be serious. Okay, what is PLC? So in PLC, you have the opportunity to serve alongside the president to represent UCF to its constituents. This meaning you are an ambassador for President Cartwright's office. You meet very important people, you serve very important people, and you eat good food while you serve important people. A group of students who have shown leadership, academic achievement, extracurricular activity, and service to the community. These students, I will say, are the cream of the crop. These students are chosen by university leaders, President Cartwright's wife may or may not be there to pick as well. So if you do consider this, make sure that your resume, your letter of recommendation is top tier. I am more than happy to go over your resume and make sure that it is tailored to President's Leadership Council. And also, effective ambassadors are for the mission of the university. If you guys do not know what preeminence is, just know that it equals money for the university, which equals scholarships, which equals better education, and equals more money. So honestly, in all honesty, and just being straight up, it's a great opportunity to make connections. As Senate President, I've had the opportunity to meet people that it's really hard to communicate through email. I've been able to talk to them about the mission of the university and how to tailor Senate to that mission. Throughout my years here in Senate, it's been kind of difficult to tailor that mission because we've kind of steered away from it. And so having those conversations, having important people show up to our meetings is really important because it not only shows the mission as a student, but it shows how as a student I can carry out UCF's mission through student advocacy and the different ways that I'm involved here on campus. So you can be part of pre-med UCF, you can be part of pre-law UCF, you can be part of engineering. It allows you a space to learn about the mission of UCF while also meeting people who carry out that mission and helping you create a passion to carry out that mission through your own passions, such as your studies. Next, what does PLC do? So I talked a little bit about that in the first slide. We facilitate presidential events. We host guests during football games. We host commencement ceremonies. It's actually a joy to see students cross that stage and just thank you for the work that you do. It's just really beautiful seeing, especially people who are the first to graduate in their family, people who have been having to take years to continue their education because it's not traditional. And essentially, we do groundbreakings. I know you guys heard about the groundbreaking in Lake Nona. We are a part of that. We have Burnett House events. By the way, that house is pretty stellar. It's really cool. We have cool events there. I see a lot of UCF administration that I get to talk to. At one of the events, I actually met Dr. Dosal, which ELA Richmond and I are working on an initiative with him regarding advising. So if I did not do PLC, I probably would not have been in connection with Dr. Dosal to propel the student body. We also do VIP campus tours. You get golf cart training and you get to ride golf carts around campus, which is really cool. And lastly, we do community service. One of the community service things that we are doing this year is volunteering to help individuals with children with terminal illnesses get an experience at a theme park. So that's really cool. And most importantly, we share our stories, not just with people who come and donate to the university, but we share our stories with each other. We get to learn about where people came where people came from before they came to UCF. And it's just really unique because you get to meet like-minded people and you get to serve your community with them. Next, benefits. I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit quickly, but the benefits are networking engagement, public speaking opportunities, professional headshots, which are really amazing. If you see my LinkedIn, that's from PLC. I get business cards with my name, my email, my phone number, and the UCF logo. And there's many workshops that help propel you. We're about to have one talking about life after graduation, propelling us through our careers. We get a professional fitted suit. We get t-shirts. We get a polo shirt and we get UCF lapel pens and $500 a semester. I put that in my savings every semester. You should too, if you join. And I think this is the last one. Here's just a few PLC opportunities that you get. I'm not going to go through every single one, but I will say that Constellation Society was amazing. I got to see the drone show before all the other students this year, and that was great. I got to hear Sean Welcome do a tailored poem for UCF. And I also got to eat really good food. There were scallops, there was like steak. That was really cool. You will be fed, and you will be fed good at PLC, just telling you. And honestly, I would say the biggest thing for me is bonding with other PLCers, because what's so enriching is that you get to meet like-minded people. You get to meet like-minded people here, but you also get to meet like-minded people there. So if you're a social person, that's the best place for you. And it's not the last one. But I will quickly go through this. Date of acceptance. So summer and fall, there's 75 hours to meet. And for spring semester, there's 50 hours to meet. It sounds like a lot when you first look at it, but when I tell you, when you get there, you're totally fine. Like, it's not that bad, I promise you. Your meetings count towards those hours as well. And then we meet bi-weekly. We have retreats, workshops, service events, and then those are the mandatory events of what I've talked about. You can go next. Eligibility requirements, you're a junior standing or higher by the end of spring 2024. You graduate students are eligible. You have to have a 3.0 plus GPA, full-time student, demonstrate leadership and passion for the university, which I know every single one of you do here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. And lastly, here's what makes a great council member. You have access to this presentation. And next, this is the recruitment timeline. So applications close in 2 weeks. Make sure you get a good letter of recommendation. I would recommend getting one from your professor and one from someone who's seen you be a leader in your element. That's what I highly recommend. But next week? Yes, next week on Monday, we have PLC speed networking. I have my internship, so I won't be there, but my friends will be there, and they'll have the opportunity to help you tailor your resume, your application, and things like that. So you will have a helping hand in that process. You can go next. And what's next? I don't know. PLC panel. That already happened. But speed networking next week on Monday, which I already stated. And those are our recruitment coordinators. I love both of them. They're amazing. Like I told you again, these people are amazing. I love them. And that's it. Are there any questions for me? No? Was I thorough? I hope I was. Okay. Thank you so much.
I know I joke around with y'all a lot, but I had to be just a little bit serious. And that's all from me. Are there any questions regarding my reports, period? I know that was a little painful. It was long. Okay. Love you. Next, Internal Legislative Assistant Report, ILA Pullman.
Hi, everyone. At this week's SLC meeting, I had them work on their candidacy packets for those who are deciding to run. And I took the time to just answer some questions that they had about the election process and other questions pertaining to the legislative branch. It was a chill meeting, and I brought them snacks because I'm their mom. And our Nighthon team is open to all student government members, so please join it. It's SGLC run. It's really fun. They think of really creative ways to fundraise, and it's open to all SG. So let me know if you want to join. And if you're going to be a mentor for this semester, keep an eye out because I'm planning the reveal and it's going to be soon. That's it for me.
Are there any questions for ILA Pullman? Seeing none, External Legislative Assistant Report, ELA Richmond.
Hey, please send out your legislation and let me know when you're done so you actually do it. If you're interested in attending the Brunette Honors College Dean meeting, please do. It's tomorrow. Message me and I will send you the information. If you're unable to attend, please send me an initiative, just a single one. I'll love you forever. And shout out Ariana Lopez. She's a GOAT, and so is Kirsten.
All right. Are there any questions for ELA Richmond? Seeing none. Senate President Pro Tempore Report, Pro Tempore DeMarla.
Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well. There's not really much on my end. Sierra and I have been working on our end of the year projects. As always, feel free to schedule one-on-one with me, whether it's about your time in Senate, if you have any initiatives, or if you're interested in my position next session, I'm more than happy to meet with you. So just send me an email or like a text through Teams. Sometimes my Teams is funky, but email usually does it.
Yes. Are there any questions for Pro Tempore DeMarla? Oh, you have another thing?
Since Danny isn't here, I'll just say something quickly too. Fiscal leadership will have a meeting soon. So if you're in fiscal leadership, make sure you respond to whatever Danny sent in the group chat regarding our meeting.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Deputy Pro Tempore Legislative Affairs Report, none. Deputy Pro Tempore Senate Relations Report, none. Caucus reports, APIA, Caucus Chair Patel.
So this past Sunday was our 5K, and we had about 60 runners in attendance, and ended up raising $200 for UNICEF. And also thank you to Allison for getting SOC involved, because if it wasn't for her, the event would not have run as smoothly as it did.
Congratulations, honestly, that I was so excited when you stated the turnout and how much you raised. That was amazing. Congratulations, APIA Caucus and Chair Patel. Are there any questions for Chair Patel? Seeing none, Black Caucus Chair Daedalus.
Hi everyone, happy Black History Month. Yay! But on a serious note, please continue taking care of yourself because it's Black History Month at least. Continue taking care of yourself. Drink at least 8 cups of water every day. Eat at least 2 nutritious meals a day. Try to get some sleep. Like, I don't know what else to say. That is the base ingredients of having a very successful semester outside of doing the necessary work. I lost myself. Oh, yeah. Support a Black-owned food truck tomorrow in Swing by Memory Mall between 11 and 3. We'll be out there. We'll be tabling, some music playing, vibes going. Money being spent. You can't support them without spending money. So, don't come with the budget. If you want to feed 3 people, I think you should feed 3 people. But support them. And if you can't come tomorrow, try again next week or the week after that or the week after that. You have 4 Fridays to, make a difference in your community. So yeah, have Black History Month again.
Are there any questions for Chair Daedalus? Seeing none. Next up, Disability Caucus, none. Latin Hispanic Caucus, Chair DeCara.
Give me 1 second. I'm working on ex officio seats right now. This also plays in. I'll email caucus leadership soon because there's another thing that this could pertain to with all of us. So that's something I'm depending on how the next meeting goes with MSC. We went over a proposal for the Latin Hispanic event I'm trying to plan. It's kind of like a caucus-wide thing, so we're gonna be working all together. It was just a little small thing, but it's gonna start working on it now within the next week or so and see how it grows. And then I think if everyone got their email today, for caucus leadership, they invited us to a town hall style event to help explain to students and RSOs how both we work and how MSC works type thing. It's just kind of a questionnaire for students. But they just emailed us today at around 1, so you should check your email.
All right. Are there any questions for Chair DeCara? Seeing none. Next up, we have LGBTQ plus caucus, Chair Vintel.
Hello, everybody. Hoping you're having a fine week. We will be meeting next week to discuss future plans and having vice chair elections. Woo, finally. We're hoping to meet at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday in the conference room, so come by if you can and if you're interested. I also wanted to share a resource I mentioned before the break from the center for anyone that is interested. They host a trans support group, which is 18 plus only, every Monday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in person and every Tuesday, same time over Zoom. If you want to know more, please feel free to reach out to me. And I've also linked the page below so you guys can see that and access it if you want. Please also share it to whoever you'd like. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Chair Vintel? Seeing none. Women's Caucus, Chair Lazo.
Hey everybody. So today's meeting, we elected our new vice chair, Allison Pullman. A little round of applause. And then other than that, it was pretty chill. So other than that, if anybody knows any woman-owned businesses that would be interested in participating in the Women's Business Showcase, please send them this form. It's in the agenda. Just copy pasted, send to them. I'm going to be doing a lot of DMs and emails this week, so let's hope we get a big turnout.
All right. Are there any questions for Chair Lazo? Seeing none. Military and Veterans Caucus, Vice Chair Kringle.
Howdy, y'all. Ex-Vice Chair Kringle here. Anyway, so we did not meet this week, but we will be meeting next week. So please contact, me or Andrew if you guys do have any interest in joining the caucus.
Oh, I forgot you're ex-vice chair. Adam, why'd you abandon them? We can talk about this later.
CRT.
It's okay.
It overlapped.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Next
I
semester.
know-
Next semester. Next semester.
I
don't
get,
worry about
you
it.
know, I get the commitment though. I get it. You know, you can't say no to Kylie. Just playing. Nice. Are you trapped? Oh, okay. No, you're good. That's all me. So if you decorum anyone, you decorum me. All right. Are there any questions for Military and Veterans Caucus? Seeing none. Unfinished business, none. Fiscal Committee caucus time, none. Fiscal Committee reports. CRT Committee Chair Samillo.
Hello, everybody. This is going to be a long one, so stick with me. But in committee on 129-24, in old business, we approved allocations 55-448 and 55-451, and we PPI'd 55-440. In new business, we approved allocations 55-463, 464, 465, 466, 467, 468, 469, 470, 471, 472, 473, 477, 474, 475, 476, 477, 478, 479, 480, 481, 483, 485, 486, 487, 488, 489, 490, 491, 492, 493, 494, 495, 496, 497, 498, 499, 500, 501, 502, 503, 504, 505, 506, 507, 508, 509, 510, 511, 512, 514, 515, 516, 517, 518, 519, 520, 521, 522, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. We denied 55, 482 and 55, 513, and we postponed 55, 484. They were all with a vote count of 3-0 to 1, except the ones that I put 2-0 to 1. And I want to thank Adam for doing so well, taking charge last minute when I called him after disaster struck. So thank you, Adam. Applause. That was a lot, and he took it all on by himself. So I'm very proud of him.
First question.
Do you need some water?
I'm glad you're here, Chair Samillo. Thank you for making it despite your circumstances.
Thank you.
FAO committee, are there any other questions for CRT committee? Seeing none, FAO committee, Chair Butler.
We approved allocation 55, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 96, and 97. We approved bills 55, 35, 36, and we postponed allocation 55, 95.
All right. Are there any questions for FAO committee, Chair Butler? Seeing none. ORS committee, Chair Rose. Everybody give a hand. Take it away, Chair Rose.
We elected me. We postponed FAO 54, 157 post-zoning review. We approved SB 5446 as a VPF, and we postponed everything else.
All right. Are there any questions for the new ORS chair? Seeing none. Temple.
Not a question. First off, congratulations again. Second off, as ORS chair, you don't necessarily have to read those off because you're not FAO or CRT who have to do that. So just a point for later on, but still, congratulations, man.
Let's give another round of applause. Oh, Brody, can you add Rose to the fiscal chat? Thank you. Love to see evolving and new leadership. Amazing. Fiscal legislation. Before we start off with that, I just want to ask, who is this? This is for, that's FAO. And that one are both of them FAO bills? Okay. If we don't do these next week, which we won't, will they still be in timeline, or would you recommend that we see them on third reading today? Well, it's June 16th for one of them. Okay, so there's a possibility that we'll have to see 35 today then. Samillo?
The date would be the 15th of April. That would be 45 business days if we saw them on February 14th.
In that, because the
15th?
thing's 30 days, right? So
It's 45.
40. Oh, it's exactly. Honestly, I don't want to risk it because anything could happen. So we can just see that one on third reading today, Temple.
Is there a reason why we won't be able to see this next week?
We have a special session.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
it's
already.
okay. I haven't even set the memorandum. I'm sending it today. It's okay.
It's been a
Temple?
day.
I mean, Samilla? See, I'm already messing up.
Technically, it has 10 extra days on it. It would be like 7 business days extra. So
Okay.
if we want, and that's counting it from February 16th, which would be the week after our special session. So we could just see it on second reading. We don't
Okay.
have to do
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Hurst?
Is that including any holidays?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So there's no need to worry unless, actually, I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Fiscal legislation is there. Actually, no legislation on first reading, none. No legislation on third reading. Temple.
Move for 3-minute speeches, 3-minute questioning, 3-minute debate.
There's been a motion for 3-minute speeches, 3-minute questioning, 3-minute debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Bills, Fiscal Bill 5534, funding for Knights Riders Motorcycle Club to host Night Riders Spring Track event at Jennings, Florida from April 13th to April 14th, introduced by Senator Brown. This time is all yours. You have 3 minutes.
So I emailed the club and asked them to let me know if anything changed, and they didn't. So nothing changed from last week.
Okay. You deal your time?
Yes.
Okay. Can someone let me know if there's any modifications on the bill, because my computer can't access right now? None? Okay, thank you. We are now in line for questions. Are there any questions? I'm willing to move to debate. Tamilo.
Motion move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in debate. Anyone wishing to speak in debate? Temple,
Mayor Retain,
you may.
you saw this last week. Let him have it. Move to vote on Fiscal Bill 5534.
There's been a motion to vote on Fiscal Bill 5534. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. With a vote count of 27 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5534 passes on third reading. Notice of legislation on second reading. Temple?
Move for 5-minute speeches, 5-minute questioning, 5-minute debate.
There's been a motion for 5-minute speeches, 5-minute questioning, 5-minute debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion stands. Bills, Fiscal Bill 5535, funding for Cypress Dome Society to host the Cypress Dome 35th edition launch party at UCF Classroom Building 2, Room 101 on April 26, 2024, introduced by D-Leg Morset. Is the RSO here? Oh, you may come up to the front right here. Once you come up, make sure you press the button and it'll light green. That means your microphone's on. Everyone, welcome.
Hi, I'm Arlene. I'm the treasurer of the Cypress Dome Society. This is my first time doing this, so it's kind of scary. Yeah, so Cypress Dome is basically a undergraduate literary club. We essentially what we do is we like to conserve and publish student literature. So they submit to the Cypress Dome, and then we basically publish student work. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the launch party is happening April 16th is what we said. And the turnout is usually 200 every time for the people that go. And then we usually pass out around 300 editions of the published work that we're working on right now. So the way that we spread the word is we have mics, open mics, tabling, general body meetings, and then we also, all the fundraising comes from book sales that we have throughout the semester. And then, I think, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about how much it costs, but to we spoke with the UCF printing services, and they basically told us that it was around $5,400-ish to publish 1,000 copies of the book, of the magazine. So that's where we're at right now. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
We're now in line for questioning. Are there any questions? Temple?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First off, very well done. You said this was your first time, correct? You did fantastic. Well, of course, good evening. My two questions, if I may.
You may.
All right. So my first question relates to the cost breakdown in the fiscal bill itself. It says here that the total is $5,496.25, and it looks like that you're going to be taking on more than the 50%. Did you request that of the from the DLEG from the outset?
So from my understanding, most of it we get from book sales, and other, what I understood was that the English department helps out with the rest. That's what I understood.
Okay. And then my second question is, do you or any of the other officers of this RSO know the post-funding procedures that is incumbent upon them should you receive the funding tonight?
Yes.
Follow-up. Can you provide a few of the steps necessary within that post-funding procedure, please?
I believe that we're supposed to fill out a form after. Yes.
Clarify, please. So yes, that is part of it. You are required to fill out something called a verification of purchases form, which is essentially all the receipts that you would accrue from your own purchases. So no purchases from the Activity and Service Fee Business Office will be accepted under that VPF. So say, for example, you buy something on your end, you have to keep that receipt so you can add it towards your $2,796.25. You also need to contribute at least 95% of your half. I'm not going to do the calculator. My mind is burnt. I'm not doing numbers again tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to contribute at least 95% of your half to the fiscal bill, and then you have to utilize 80% of what student government provides to you.
Okay.
And then you have to use all of that by the date specified in the first be it further enacted clause in the fiscal legislation. So that date would be the 16th of May, 2024.
Okay.
And then, sorry, one more thing. You also need to submit your verification of purchases form by the 23rd of May, 2024. You got all that?
Yes.
Awesome.
Are there any other questions? Temple?
Seeing no further questions, move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in debate. Anyone wishing? Whitson?
At FAO, they passed out things of their magazine or book, and this is like really cool. This is very well made, so I'm going to be voting in favor. I heard you guys do the same. This is really cool.
Temple?
Yeah, in the time I've been in this chamber, I've seen these guys through 3 times. It never gets old, just how amazing that content is. I might be stealing that from you, Whitson, because I really am interested in seeing it. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I encourage you all to really vote for this legislation, because then you get really high quality work from students, and that really just fulfills that sort of passion for them. Plus, again, who doesn't like free books?
Hurst?
May I retain?
Wait, yeah, go ahead.
I think this is a great idea. The book looks amazing already. I'll be voting in favor as well. I'll urge you all to do the same and move to vote.
All right, there's been a motion to vote on fiscal bill 5535. Are there any objections? Did you? Okay. No, we're not there. With a vote count of 29 to 0, fiscal bill 5535 passes on second reading. I actually have a quick question for you. So through what you've seen, how do students, I just didn't want this to sway the votes or whatever, but how did you see students benefit from getting published in the Cypress Dome?
So I actually had an author meeting today with one of them, and they felt as though, like, when they read something over and over and over again, they read their work over and over again, they feel as though their what they put into it is gone. And when they hear that, like, there's other people that read the same, like, read their work, see their work, understand their work, they like have like a renewed sense of like, I'm doing this for a reason. And it like keeps them on the path of like, I can be an artist, I can be a writer, I can be a poet. And when we do open mics, it actually makes people come out of their shell a lot. Like I read my poem at open mic when I went, and it was actually really liberating and really like amazing to see like other people that are there to like really understand what you're doing and understand what you're writing. And it's a great magazine, and it's a great process to be a part of.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Samila?
I had a question for Brody.
Oh, yes.
Regarding spring break, I know that things in the office are still happening. I'm pretty sure that the business office is still open. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I didn't count spring break as a closed week because the business office is still open. So yeah, they'll be fine for timeline purposes.
Next up, we have Fiscal Bill 5536, funding for Knight's experimental rocketry to host ion propulsion at Florida Space Institute on June 16, 2024. The RSO is here. Welcome them. It has to be green.
There we go. Hi, I'm Camila Martinez. I am the treasurer for Knight's Experimental Rocketry, and I'm here to present 5536. Today's ion propulsion, we're requesting, the bill's for $5,000, we're requesting $2,500. What's our mission? I'm assuming you've seen me before, but we're here to cultivate a passion for science, technology, and space exploration, developing skills that prepare students for the professional industry. We get hands-on work. We apply everything that we're learning in classes on our actual rockets. But today's is actually a little different. Next slide, please. Ion propulsion, I'm just going to explain what that is first. It's different from our other rockets. It's not like our liquids or our solids. Ion propulsion was actually used in satellites and deep space exploration, so this is a very unique project. Our club was the first university to have ion propulsion, and I think we're still the only one to have ion propulsion. So our expenses are the thruster chassis, it's $1,000. It's the skeleton of our propulsion system. The thruster electronics and amps and PCBs are $2,500. That's what actually makes it work. And our peripherals are $1,500. That's what measures our system, making sure everything's actually working correctly. Next slide, please. So project objectives: develop, test, and characterize performance of a SRAD Hall effect thruster in a vacuum environment. We have all our meetings on campus. We build this on campus, but we do have to test it off campus because we need a bigger vacuum chamber. So that's the Florida Space Institute. That's just 5 minutes down the road in Research Parkway. And yeah, we teach students the fundamentals of electric propulsion and engineering of space technology, transition knowledge and skills into academic and careers. Next slide, please. I just really like this project, so I want to show off what we did last year. For ion propulsion, there's different systems for it. This year we're using magnets. They did a different system last year. Here you can see inside the vacuum chamber, it lighting up all the sparks. It looks amazing. And our design last year for it, I don't understand that math, but I think it's amazing. Next slide, please. Thank you for listening to me.
Awesome. We are now in questioning. Temple?
Yeah, good evening. You see, again, I knew you felt it familiar because you were here last time.
Yes.
So yeah, are you or any officers aware of the post-funding procedures?
Yes.
Do you mind giving me a few pointers about that?
I actually thought we had to prove that we paid at least 90% of it, but I guess that's 80%. You have to fill out a form showing that we've paid all that stuff, and it has to be done. I forgot the amount of days after we've made all those purchases, but we have ours done for July.
Yeah, clarify on that. So yes, make sure you use at least 80% of student government's funds, but make sure you contribute at least 95% of your half.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Make sure you have VPF squared away, ready to go. And then of course, but do note though, that's because this is going to be towards the tail end of our fiscal year. Our fiscal years will always end on the 30th of June.
Yes.
And your event, this is going to be at the 16th of June. You only have, I think if my math is correct, 14 days. So 2 weeks in order for you to use all your funds. Will you ensure that those funds will be utilized within that 2 week span before the reversion date?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to go to debate? We're now there. Anyone wishing to speak in debate? Yaman Chili, Fintel, Kringle.
So I wanted to express my admiration for how cool this project is. I did not know what ion propulsion was until yesterday. Apparently, it is a form of electric propulsion used where an ion thruster creates a cloud of positive ions from a neutral gas by ionizing it to extract electrons from its atoms, and it uses electricity to accelerate those ions and create thrust. Okay, that's just my yapping about what this is, but it's really cool, and I'm really happy to see that KXR at UCF has the first of that kind of rockets in the U.S. This is something to be proud of, being America's space university, and it shows that on this topic, we are much better than what one might say are the elite universities of this country, which is really cool. I'm also a big rocketry fan, and we love it when rockets go burr. So I'm going to be voting in favor of this bill very enthusiastically, and I encourage you all to do the same. Thank you.
Bintel.
Yeah, I don't know how I can top that, but we've seen KXR so many times before. They always have great presentations and they always deliver on what they're talking about. I've personally seen so many friends, mentees, and peers go through their programs, their projects, and come out with just lots of experience and become way better engineers because of it. So I will be voting in favor.
Kringle,
Mayor Tain.
you may.
Yeah, no, KXR always does really awesome stuff. I love to see the new products they're always working on, and I feel like they always are very responsible with their funds. So, motion to move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote on Fiscal Bill 5536. Ooh, thank you. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. With a vote count of 29 to 0, congratulations, your bill passes on second reading. I asked that disclaimer. Alrighty, let me see. I get lost in this agenda every day, but you're all good to go. Thank you. Jason.
Use the respective title.
Anyways, internal committee caucus time, SBA. Okay, here's what we could do. We could do SBA in here and then Black Caucus over there. What do you guys think? Yeah? Okay. What do you think? What's your last name? Vasquez? What do you think, Vasquez?
I wanted to do president voting.
Oh, you did? Okay, so noted at 8:04 p.m. Thanks for not giving me your opinion, Hurst.
How much overlap is there between Black Caucus and SBA?
They're both asking for 20 minutes. Oh, people?
I don't think there's two.
I think they have more people in SBA than Black Caucus. No, you're good. Lacasse.
I'm just saying it's the first day of Black History Month. I feel like Black Caucus should get the charge on chamber.
That is very true.
Damn.
You know, like I could make that decision, but then I'd be biased because I'm, you know. So it's like.
Why were you saying that's a bad thing?
I didn't suggest it. Who said that? Who said that? Let me see. Okay, let's ask Chair Dallas. Okay. You like to stir the pot right before you leave too. I got a bone to pick for you. Okay, so what I will do is Black Caucus will be in the conference room. SBA will be here. Is the conference room clear? Okay, great. I hereby recess Senate at 8:05 p.m. to reconvene at 8:25. Go be free. Okay.
If you're not an SBA, get out of this table.
Where's the cookies at, Jason?
I didn't bring cookies. Do you want a Rolo? Do you want a Rolo? There, I don't know how many I have left. I've been snacking on them all day.
You have none left. You have one.
No, you're so chill. You can stay back there.
Yeah, that's it. That's the last one.
This could be for you.
Wait, no, I think I found another one.
Like, I'm so sorry, guys. I just really like Rolos.
Okay, there you go. Now we're done.
Who wants the last Rolo? Oh God, someone, you gotta pass it down. No, I'm not chucking things at my members. That'll end up being weird. Is everyone ready? Is everyone ready?
Oh, wait.
Are you good? Slay. Okay, guys. I call this meeting to order at 8:09 p.m. Roll call and verification quorum. Vice Chair Vasquez. Present.
Myself. Senator Acosta.
Y'all don't have to use the mics. I was just doing that to be loud.
Senator Brown.
Yeah, you're so true.
Fintel. Hashimi. Hamayan. Lazo.
Present.
Richmond.
Present.
Shannon.
Shannon. He was here instead.
Does he know that he has to be here? Okay.
Bro was
Torres.
Present.
Trainer.
He's excused.
LJR rep.
Excused.
Pro temp rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna count 11. Quorum is verified.
Oh, we're okay. We're chill. Okay.
I counted the person that's not here.
Okay. Because I did see him. He is here. Okay. So approval of the minutes. Take a look at last week's minutes, which is like Tuesday. I'll take a quick motion and then we'll move in. Torres.
Motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
There's been a motion to approve last week's minutes. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. Is there any? Lazo?
Motion to approve this meeting's agenda.
There's been a motion to approve this meeting's agenda. Is there any objections? Seeing none. Okay. Motion to move to announce from the chair.
So moved.
Okay. Hi guys. We're only seeing 3 things that we couldn't see earlier this week. Also, if you signed up to table with the Black Caucus, make sure you go. I sent Chair Daedalus the list and the when to meet, so she'll know if you don't show up. And you guys gotta support local Black businesses, especially since it's now officially Black History Month. So guys, I'll know if you don't go.
Motion for 333.
Is there a motion for
Y'all know how my speeches be. So I stand before you with a proposition that extends beyond the confines of our university, a proposal to elevate the University of Central Florida to the status of a fair trade university. Fair trade is more than a concept, it is a philosophy rooted in justice, fairness, and sustainability. By embracing fair trade principles, we have the opportunity to make a tangible impact not only within our campus community, but also on a global scale. Allow me to elaborate why this proposition holds significant merit. Firstly, fair trade ensures fair competition for producers, particularly those in developing nations. This commitment breaks the chains of poverty, empowering communities to invest in their education, healthcare, and essential infrastructure. Secondly, fair trade upholds ethical working conditions, safeguarding the dignity and well-being of workers. By endorsing these standards, we pledge our commitment to workplaces that are not only safe, but also characterized by respect and justice. Thirdly, the emphasis on environmental sustainability within fair trade practices aligns seamlessly with our university's commitment to ecological responsibility. By adopting such practices, we contribute to the preservation of ecosystems, biodiversity, and the overall health of our planet. Furthermore, by becoming a fair trade university signifies more than a commitment to ethical commerce. It opens doors for educational opportunities, it provides a platform to raise awareness about global economic issues, and encourages dialogue on responsible consumption and sustainable business practices. As a community dedicated to learning, leadership, and positive societal impact, I propose that the University of Central Florida unite in supporting this cause. And by becoming a fair trade university, we send a powerful message to our students, our faculty, and the world that ethical choices do matter, and our Constitution, which would be the first in the state of Florida, would stand as a beacon for positive change. I implore you to recognize the transformative potential it holds. Let us collectively contribute to the world where fairness, justice, and sustainability are not merely ideals, but integral aspects of our identity. Thank you.
Have you talked to any admin about this?
So this is something from Innovation Sustainability Coordinator Sydney. She has been mentioning this a ton about it. She's already done her work on her side about with meeting. Really, one of the final aspects of the campaign of being fair trade is making a resolution from the student body sense. So she in the resolution, you'll see what she told me in the facts is actually a past initiative from the past Sustainability Innovation Coordinator. So basically, what work has been happening there. This is kind of the next step within the Senate, a legislative path too. But it's really, if Sydney was here, she could tell you exactly who. I'm just kind of helping her on the resolution side. But there has been talks. I just don't know exactly who. I know it's actually she has been talking to admin, but right now this is kind of that final step before we talk to Cartwright, because Cartwright has to sign the status of being a fair trade university.
Two things. I just made a grammatical fix on the second to last whereas clause, and I just had a question. What are I'm all for this bill, but what are the economic standards that we're gonna any issues that we're gonna have, such as getting the new signage and stuff like that, or getting the new jewelry that is all fair trade certified? How would that work economic-wise?
It would happen over a process of time usually. A lot of times there's already extensive amount of over 200, there's already fair trade medals, there's fair trade products. It's all public stuff. Fair trade is a internationally recognized group, and they have an entire list of the products and the producers and actually groups to get their the fair trade products from. So that is all at the hands of UCF. It is just now our kind of time to urge them into that. Me and Sydney have talked about helping them in any way. They literally have step-by-step ways of helping universities transition over to being the fair trade products. It's all on their websites and such.
Motion to move to voting. Dang. Motion to move to debate. Can I retain?
You may.
Oh, yes. This is good. I love Sydney. I love Aiden. I vote in favor. You should too. Yeah, motion to vote.
Thank you, SBA, for taking the time to really do this caucus and listen to this. I think this is an incredibly important piece of legislature, given not only the status of gun safety and gun violence in the nation and in the state of Florida, but also recent events on this campus. I don't really need to go into the graphic details of the incidents that have occurred, not only in MSD, in Pulse, in the rest of the nation and university campuses, but also what happened on January 18th here on our own UCF campus. I really do want to push this resolution, and we had just met with UCF PD this morning, and they seem to be in conjunction and really encouraging our efforts to make UCF a safer place to study, to live, to grow, and to thrive. Really what this bill emphasizes is to keep and maintain a safety and emphasize more safety educational instructions and resources, such as run, hide, and fight initiatives, which are currently being adapted and updated to a more modern understanding of what gun violence necessitates, as well as the creation of web courses and more educational resources that can be found across campus, regardless of class standing and where you are, as well as also more education on protocols and procedures in the event of an active shooter threat. And that is it from me. I yield my time.
May I retain?
No, I want to see if someone else has a question.
Oh, well, I don't really have.
Yes, what UCF PD has is you can go and request a assailant tabletop request form, and that is essentially where they come. They do a demonstration of what to do in the event of an active shooter threat, not only on campus, but also in a general sense of you're in a street, you're at a party, at a club, something happens. They have those, and they're really trying to work more on getting those resources out, as well as the web courses the web courses that we're planning on making also aims to educate what to do in the event of an active threat.
So much for this. What are some steps that you plan to take with or people that you plan to work with after this resolution is passed to make sure your initiative is gone through?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, me and Jason met with UCF PD today and this morning, and they were all on board for this. And they actually had a couple initiatives that they were pushing that really align with the view of this. So one of those is the updated Run, Hide, and Fight initiatives, which are those should be coming out in around this upcoming fall semester, and they're going to have an updated video with a lot more better information. Run, Hide, and Fight is now considered a bit outdated, so they're trying to give it a different name, give it an update, as well as a web courses, which is something that we were kind of agreeing with, that would also have resources and who to call, what to do in the event of an active shooter threat, how to shelter in place properly, all those informations, as well as the active assailant tabletop requests. So that's really a great resource to have. And as well as working with them to really implement a better UCF alert system. There was a bit of a lag in the last time, and the company that they work with to send out those UCF alerts, they're working with UCF PD. And the Chief Carl Metzger, he was totally on board with that. We met with Major Officer Scott Freeman today, who was just such a great help and definitely wants to be on board with this.
Move to vote. Debate.
There's been a motion.
Amanda has been working on this forever. I think she started in like September, maybe August. So I think that goes to her dedication. She's been working on this meeting for a while, I think, too. So shout out Amanda. I'll be voting in favor.
May I retain?
No.
Okay. I'll be voting in favor. As a person who was on campus that day when the intruder was there, I was in the student union, and me and my friends were freaking out because we didn't know what to do. So more resources would be very helpful, and this is great. So yeah.
Sorry for not letting you retain. I just wanted to yap. But based on the conversation that we had with UCF PD, I really think this initiative has the highest probability of being fully fleshed out and seen through. UCF PD is really on board with everything that we said, and it seems like, and I ever since this initiative started, I've always been on board with it. I thought it was amazing. More resources are needed, especially after what happened like 2 weeks ago. So I will be abstaining though, because I'm a little too involved in this bill, just so no conflict of interest. So that's why I'm abstaining, but I highly encourage you guys to vote in favor. But yeah. What did you add? I mean,
Okay, guys, welcome back. Nice to be here again. I'm really proud of this bill. As a former woman in STEM myself, couldn't crack it as an electrical engineer. I really am proud of not only the work that women and girls in STEM are doing, but also the strides that UCF has made to make UCF, STEM, engineering, nursing, sciences really just a safe place to come and to learn and to grow as a woman in STEM. You can look in the bill. I'm not going to memorize those by right now because we're on a time crunch, but UCF actually has really impressive numbers when it comes to female enrollment in the engineering STEM schools in general. They could always be better, but this is what this bill aims to do, and I really like this bill and making a good future for women in STEM. Here's my time.
On this proclamation, are there any other steps you are taking to like back this proclamation up?
Yes, I'm planning on doing almost like a closing night event at the end of the semester where faculty, who a lot of them are women, have done really impressive research in, I believe it was the College of Nursing and the College of Optics and Photonics. So that would really give them that ability to showcase, as well as working on scholarship opportunities for women in STEM. Yes, there's a whole list of them right now at the bottom of the proclamation. I'm really excited, and I also kind of wanted to speak out to Unite. I know that's your project, so I really wanted to like work and see how we would get those clubs to send that out. Yeah, that was mostly it.
All right, I reconvene this meeting at 8:52 p.m. Internal committee reports, ENA Committee Chair DeCara.
We're seeing two internal bills tonight, 5513 and 5514.
All right, are there any questions for ENA Chair DeCara? Seeing none, GAC Committee Chair Temple.
Good evening, everybody. So here we are, post day at the Capitol. It feels weird to say that after all the time we dedicated to it, but it's done. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, everybody had a blast, right? Wait, not everybody's here, but my point being, yeah, Day at the Capitol, very successful event, and we got nothing but positive reviews from the legislators and their aides. And I did, of course, want to extend my thanks to everybody involved in it, both the students who had attended, executive for organizing all of it, and of course the GAP committee for researching and putting in all the hard work in the back end. With that, though, GAP's work isn't done. Sorry, folks, but we're not taking any breaks yet, because now all our attention is turning to, if I can get this right, the 2024 presidential election. Oh boy. Yeah, this is going to be a fun month and a half. But in any case, speaking of which, in the meantime, while we get those efforts underway, I and President Greenaway will be meeting with Dean Barry next Friday to discuss updates regarding the Election Day initiative. I just wanted to make sure that I had you reminded everybody because, well, this could be a pretty important meeting, all things considered. And of course, my two on this day facts, they're both quick ones. 1865, the 13th Amendment is signed into law by Abraham Lincoln, making slavery officially unconstitutional in the United States. And in 1964, the Liverpudlian band The Beatles released I Want to Hold Your Hand, which becomes their first big hit in the United States. And that is all.
All right, are there any questions for Chair Temple? Seeing none, LJR Committee Chair Yalman-Chile.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hello, everyone, and good morning to those who have not received a good morning yet. LJR met today at 3:30 p.m. to approve two absence requests and approved Resolution 5523 from Chair DeCara on updates to Title II, which allows the ENA committee to elect a representative to the Election Commission, and it passed first reading with a vote of 3-0 to 2. This bill will be seen in Senate for its second reading tonight. Absence requests you can see in my announcements. I don't have to repeat them. This day in history fact, this is a quite interesting one. I unfortunately do not have a Roman Empire fact for you today, but I do have a fact about the French Revolution. On the 1st of February, 1793, in the French Revolutionary Wars, the War of the First Coalition was underway. This meant that France was at war with a bunch of other European monarchies that had assembled in force against it as a result of its Republican Revolution and its execution of King Louis XVI for treason against the French Republic. And so therefore, on this date, France declared war on the United Kingdom and the Netherlands. Afterwards, the Committee on Public Safety, headed by President of the committee, Maximilian Robespierre, would authorize mass conscription of citizens into a citizen army to fight against these European hostile forces as in what they call the levée en masse. And this war had led to the rise and in popularity of the famous general at the time, Napoleon Bonaparte. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
All right, are there any questions for Chair Yalman-Chile? Seeing none, SBA Committee Chair Hamid.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a good day. So this week, SBA was on the same day as Day at the Capitol, so we had a chill meeting. We primarily worked on making our official proposals for a dining meeting coming up on the 13th. We also caucused to see Resolution 5524, 5525, along with Proclamation 5513, which all passed. Yippee! So if you guys need any help with any of your initiatives, please let me know. And this morning, Chair Laws and I met with UCFPD. I'll be yielding over to her to speak about what we talked about.
So the main purpose of this meeting this morning with UCFPD was really to talk about gun safety and advocate for gun safety on campus. So that really went over the creation of a new Run, Hide, and Fight video, which they're actually going to be updating the terminology around that. They're also planning on making a new web course module that has a bunch of safety precautions about what to do in the event of an active shooter threat. On top of that, emergency classroom guides, which would be turned to a QR code and should be found in pretty much every classroom, especially those like large lecture halls. We also talked about the difference between concealed carry and campus carry. A lot of people think that the new concealed carry law just applies blanket across the entire state. Campuses actually do have a difference. They are not allowed. They do not fall under this. You can only have a gun on campus if it is in a locked car. Very important. Also talking about UCF alert issues, lag issues with that, and just constant UCF PD training. They're actually really on the ball with that. I was really impressed. And then lastly, we also talked about the Safety and Privacy Act here on campus and about what to do in the event of transgender or gender neutral people in bathrooms. And we were actually really impressed with the response that they had. We're working an SBA to get gender neutral bathroom maps, and they asked if they can get a little laminated maps that all officers could have those and almost escort trans or gender neutral people to those bathrooms in the event of, them being made uncomfortable. But there's any other questions?
Are there any questions regarding the SBA committee report? Seeing none. Confirmations, is there a motion for confirmations tonight? Hurst?
Motion for 5-minute speech, 5-minute questioning, 5-minute debate.
There's been a motion for 5-minute speeches, 5-minute question, 5-minute debate. Are there any objections? Before we proceed, Lacasse, do you have any last words for us?
Yeah, just that I'm gonna miss all of you guys, and as torturous as some of the midnight meetings are, it will kind of feel empty. Like on a Thursday night, maybe I'll have to tune in and just see how much you guys are suffering, and then maybe I'll make it feel better. But no, really, our leadership here does a lot of good work. I feel like I've made friends while being in here, and there's so much passion that goes into the work we do here from so many different people. And I feel lucky to have been part of the 55th session. So
Thank you for your commitment.
also, Sarah just found out I was black.
Today, I just found out that Senator Lacasse is biracial on the first day of Black History Month. All right. Don't call me out like that.
How to get on the record is my last words.
That's crazy. I got you after this. I got you. So how do you pronounce? It's Emre, last name? Musemeyer? Emre Musemeyer. Got it. Listen, I'm letting you know now, for the next few meetings, you will have to correct me. I want to make sure I say it right, okay? So please welcome Emre Musemeyer as sign-over seat for College of Sciences seat 8. So you'll come up to this podium. There will be a microphone with a green light. Once you hit that green light, that's how you know the microphone's on. You have 5 minutes when you are ready. So once you start speaking, that's when the 5 minutes starts.
Hi. Hello. My name is Emre. This is my second term here at UCF. I'm a social sciences major, and I hope to eventually do research and work in public health. I've been interested in advocacy and in student involvement since high school, where I was working with local nonprofits for getting voter registration in my local area. And I enjoy helping those around me. I've been working in my time here at UCF with RSOs on campus to help improve the environment for students here. And I would like to be able to continue that and continue advocating for what students want and need through the Student Senate. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. We are now in line for questioning. Temple, and then ELA Richmond.
Hi. Well, good evening. My my 2 questions, if I may.
You may.
So just kind of give us a little more detail. What RSOs have you been working with in university? I have worked with YDSA, particularly with the the environmental group, with doing cleanups in the Cypress Dome, cleaning up trash, getting rid of invasive species. I've also helped them with their clothing drive.
Okay. Second question.
You may.
And with that experience, then what committees or committee do you wish to sit on should you be approved for the sign over tonight?
I would like to be involved with SBA to help advocate for the students' needs.
Okay, that is all.
ELA Richmond.
2, if I may.
You may.
First, are you available March 1st at 1 p.m.? That's a Friday for a
Mar-
dean meeting.
March 1st, Friday?
Friday, yeah.
Wait, March 1st, I will be out of town for WinterCon.
Oh, cool. Okay. Next question.
Okay.
Do you have any like college-based initiatives?
College-based, specific to the College of Sciences?
Yeah.
I don't suppose at this moment I have anything specific to the College of Sciences other than listening to what my fellow students need and advocating for our continuation as with our programs, especially in so the sociology department. That is where my major is.
Brown.
You said you wanted to advocate for students' needs. Have you heard of any students' needs and that you want to advocate for, and how will you do so?
So recently there's been a growing need for access to contraceptives, and something that I would like to help advocate for is having student health services have more access for contraceptives, such as Plan B for students.
Are there any other questions? All right. Kringle.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. Lacasse.
Okay, I know I'm going to be biased, but I know that this is nerve wracking, so I'm going to ignore your nervousness because I'd be the exact same way. I'm lucky enough that I did not have to do this in order to get into the Senate. But anyway, Emra is somebody that I met over like the past summer, and like ever since then, they have had a like constant drive to just be active in the like community. They are consistently participating in those cleanups that they mentioned. It basically like one time went out just on their own to kind of like initiate that because they're just that dedicated. As they mentioned, they're in YDSA, as am I. We do active tabling to kind of spread the word about getting free Plan B on campus. And basically every single day, Emra is out there getting people like, telling them about this, getting them in the know. And then when it comes to student government specific, you guys know how we're all like, oh yeah, there's like the YouTube live stream and people can sit back here, but nobody does that. Emra is one of those people who does that, who watches these for fun and stays until midnight, even though they don't have to. And I think that says a lot about like the commitment they have. And so I genuinely could not have thought of a better person to offer my seat over to as I move forward, simply because of the consistent passion that they have shown. And I feel like that's very important to put out there.
Senator Hurst, or is it Vice Chair this time around? Vice Chair Hurst.
I commend you for your ability to stand up there and talk to all of us. I know it's not exactly easy to talk to a giant room of people, so I commend you for that. Also, I was you last session just watching for fun. So I don't know why either of us did it, but we're here, so it worked. I think you'll do well in this last part of our session. I think you want to get involved, and I appreciate that and wanting to take over in the last part of this, so I'll be voting in favor of you.
Any other senators wishing to speak? Brown?
I really like the idea of an initiative for more options for contraceptives, and I think that SB is a really good committee to join. And I think we always need more people here because obviously we have empty seats. So, even though it's late in the session, I think still more people willing to get involved is welcome. So I'll be voting in favor.
All right, with 3 in affirmation, are there any in dissenting? Seeing none, is there a motion, Hurst?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote on the candidate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 27 to 0 to 3, congratulations, Emra. This is your last free Thursday night. The Chief Justice will be here in the SG office on Monday at 3:30 p.m. to meet you. If you have any changes in schedule or anything like that, just let Preston know. He'll let me know. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Take care. Okay, simple and easy, y'all. Let's go. Internal legislation. Notice of legislation on first reading, none. Notice of legislation on third reading, none. Notice of legislation on second reading I'm going to propose a motion, and then you guys let me know. I'm going to do a motion for, this can be amended, but it's just for this specific internal bill because I know there's a little bit of tension regarding it. So I'm going to do a motion for is there a motion for 7-minute speeches, 10-minute unlimited questioning, unlimited debate? All right.
It's the next one.
It's the next one?
13 is the Lax's bill.
Okay, but it's for overall. It can be amended. Okay. It's so moved? Okay. We'll start that off for internal bill and keep going. And then if you guys seeing that that's way too long, we can amend that. But you guys go through these quickly regardless. So first up is internal bill 5513, updates to Title VI, introduced by Chair DeCara. Chair DeCara, you have 7 minutes when you're ready.
Hey y'all, this is the internal bill we actually passed last session when it was former Senator Lax's bill, but with things with Shane and Dr. Frame, it was actually vetoed by Dr. Frame due to some wording. So we had to remove a few things. So me, Supervisor Grace, and Brody all sat down and looked over basic things. The main things that were changed, the petition seeking period concept has been removed. Can I also allow Grace to speak on this too?
You have to ask, is there a motion for a non-senator to speak? That being Supervisor Myers? You may.
Yeah.
You may do the rest of the time once you release it.
So once I'll send it a bit, I don't know anything like that. Only thing I really changed was in 601.2, it's the Attorney General and the Supervisor. I just added that E&A meets because it's just like the head of the elections and appointments. So now it's just 3 heads meeting about it. 603.3 to I and just 2. That was the big change. That one Grace can elaborate on too. 604.1 is like it says when placing such on the ballot. You technically don't put your name on the ballot. It's Brody who does it in a way. So this is just kind of like a name you provided diversity. So any individuals who are in the process of transitioning can name change. You will have receipts of such when you say that you're changing your name to the university, and you just provide it to Supervisor of Elections, and they honor that. And nothing changed for 604.10, 606.4, and 606.9. The only one that's like kind of like newer is 606.3. That was something from I think when the past supervisor, like Carly McGregor, where she had that. Now Grace is just honoring over. I'm gonna yield the rest to Grace if she wants to elaborate any more.
Okay. So for 603.3, 2I about the petition seeking period, originally in Lax's bill, that was going to be added as a definition. So we've just altered that to make it just in that presidential candidate statutes, because this is the one spot where the petition seeking period is mentioned. So there's no need for it to be categorized under definitions. So we just kind of elaborated on it in that one specific spot of the statutes. And then for 606.3, we just wanted to fix that violation. So those of you that ran previously, you're very aware of the fact that we had to approve every single little thing that you wanted to post online, which feels like a little weird limitation of your freedom of speech. So we just wanted to change that to distributing any apparel, which is a type of tangible campaign material, but we just wanted to put that in there explicitly. So those two we are looking to be are the only ones we have to approve. So y'all can still post online and discuss things with your students and whatnot without having to go through EC having to approve that. So the goal was just to have anything that candidates are going to plug their money into to be approved by us, just to make sure it's not going to be a violation. They're not going to waste their money.
And then, yeah, with that, I yield my time.
Okay, sorry, y'all. I cannot access the doc on here, so I'm gonna be over here. Thank you. All right. We are now in questioning. Are there any senators wishing to ask questions? Temple?
Yeah, and this is something that the chair has already made aware of, but 606.9, can you clarify the particular language with this one? Because I'm sure, because I'm not mistaken that Shane had asked for that to be changed to some degree.
So this is something that Grace can also answer on. This was I was brought to my attention, I think by General Moore. Basically, it's kind of like that the supervisor of elections would submit something, but what I was recommended was any violation beyond jurisdiction of EC shall be sent to student conduct and academic integrity. But this was like through further debate. Supervisor Myers has actually told me about is that, I'll yield that to her because she actually has more elaboration of why this is kind of like a difficult area to change.
Yeah, and also just to give due credit, this all came from Brody. I didn't really think about it all that much. But so what Shane wanted to do was to require everyone to go through for any violation type thing to report anything to become mandatory reporters for the Sunshine Law. And then also for student conduct related things that pretty much would put ECers in the same position as like RAs for on-campus housing. So it would put them in a weird spot of kind of not being able to be students and, be themselves type thing. And also it would require like a vast amount of training, which would potentially like prevent more ECers from joining. For EC in general, it's kind of, we flow in and out for sometimes like a lot of members will join in the spring. So with the amount of like extensive training that would make people mandatory reporters for those things, it could potentially prevent people from joining the election commission, which could definitely lead to issues with us being able to function and like reach out to other campuses and do our tabling and such.
Are there any other questions? Hurst?
Seeing that, move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Temple?
So yeah, this is a pretty practical bill. It pretty much kind of outlines exactly what former Senator Laxa wanted to do. And of course, Title VI being Title VI, there's a lot of holes that need to be kind of filled in, even though more would just pop up like gophers. But yeah, the bill itself looks good. The language is there. And please don't harm me for the Caddyshack reference, but I will be voting in favor of this piece of legislation, and I encourage you all to do the same.
Anyone else? Hurst, do you have anything? No? Temple?
If she's not going to jump on the opportunity, I will. Move to vote on Internal Bill 5513.
There's been a motion to vote on Internal Bill 5513. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. With a vote count of 28 to 0, Internal Bill 5513 passes on second reading. Hurst?
Wow. Seeing as this bill is updates to Title VI and the election is not all that far away, can we see this on third reading tonight as well?
13 or
13.
13. Yeah.
If I'm right, for it to go into effect, it had to be done by the 14th, the 15th. Like it's like just saying like a timeline thing, because like there's a timeline for when we can put this stuff in.
Yeah. So in order for any bill affecting the election to impact the current upcoming election, it has to be enacted by declaration of candidacy. So yes, if you wanted this to be in place for this election, it would need to be passed on third reading and have all of its signatures before February 12th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
So
considering that, I'll see that. We'll put it on, I guess, after we do all these bills, because it's a lot of technicalities. So we can do that. Pro Tempore and I meet with Dr. Frame, because this has to be signed by Dr. Frame, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we meet with her on the 7th, so we can let her know how urgent it is, and she can get it signed as soon as possible. So thank you for that. Did you have something to care?
Oh, this so like the next ones are like the was it internal bill 5514 and resolution 5523 are like together. I was actually wondering if they could be seen as a block. They aren't like two different topics. They just are like the resolution is just like the Senate rule counter like part with the internal bill. So I was looking to see it as a block.
Hurst. Is it the same language?
Yeah, it's the same language, it's the same thing. It's just in different areas.
So would you like to see 13 and 14 as a block on third reading?
No, 14 and 23.
14 and 23.
3 is a block.
That is, you can do that.
I just want to save time. That's just
it just depends because you could. If there's, you can do it. You just have to. Wait, 14 and 23. Can you? Okay. I'm just asking. Okay, you can make that motion.
I motion to see internal bill 5514 and resolution 5523 as a block.
There's been a motion to make internal bill 5514 and resolution 5523 to see them as a block on second reading. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll see them. So next up, again, 7-minute speeches, unlimited question, unlimited debate for internal bill 5514 and resolution 5523. Before we get into this, if there's any amendments that are needing to be made, please, we don't do this often, but it's just a reminder for technicality's sake. Just if you would like to see an edit onto the bill, it would have to be a motion to see your amendments as a block, and then that's how we see what you have written on the bill. If it's grammatical errors, sentence placement, just ask me to see it as a technical. I more than likely will see it. But we are there. Chair DeCara, you have 7 minutes when you're ready.
All right. All right. I have like a fair speech for this because I know that this is something I like. This has actually come from heart. Like it's something I just like thought of over the. I've had this idea since I was vice chair at the beginning. So within these internal bill and resolution, these measures are proposed within the internal bill and resolution are not merely administrative nuances, but pillars of that support the foundation of a transparent, fair, and inclusive electoral/legislative process here. First and foremost, it is crucial to acknowledge the wealth of expertise and experience that the supervisor of election could bring to the table. Their understanding of the election processes, rules, and regulations position them as a valuable asset to the decision-making body. By including the supervisor of elections in the committee, we ensure that every decision made is grounded in the knowledge and wisdom that comes from managing electoral decisions and such. Furthermore, the involvement of the supervisor is paramount to upholding the principles of fairness and impartiality. Their presence within the committee acts as a safeguard against any potential biases, fostering an environment where the electoral process remain untainted and just. We must recognize the supervisor of elections as a guardian of integrity, someone who stands vigilant against any compromise on the principles that underpin our democratic values. In addition to this, the creation of a representative within the Election Commission as an essential layer of communication and advocacy. This dedicated representative serves as a bridge between the decision-making body and the actual execution of elections. Their role is not just relaying information, but actively ensuring that the committee's decisions are faithfully implemented and the electoral process remains a true representation of students' votes. Moreover, by establishing these connections and integrating these roles, we are not just promoting efficiency, but also reinforcing accountability and checks and balances. The supervisor becomes an active participant in the decision-making process, contributing to the committee's credibility and reducing the likelihood of Simultaneously, the ENA rep acts as a vigilant guardian, ensuring that decisions made align with the principles of a free and fair elections. Embracing these measures is not just a matter of administrative reconstructing, it is a commitment to the democratic ideals that define us as an institution. By uniting the supervisor with the committee and establishing a dedicated representative with the Election Commission, we fortified that very essence of our electoral process. As I say, I'm going to mention something. I've had this here for like a week, and I also mentioned that you guys have asked me any questions. I know one of the things was conflict of interest. I just want you to know that we have a code of ethics when it comes to that stuff, and we have this vote option called abstaining in the process of a conflict of interest. So, as senators and as we are here, we vote, and if we know there's a conflict of interest, that ENA rep would abstain because they follow the code of ethics and the rules that we got here for. And so would that supervisor. And we have accountability measures to take them out if they're not following the code of ethics. I want to remind senators of that, is that we all read the same things of what we should be following. And, we have an integral role here, and us not honoring that is not honoring, the oath we took and what we swore to be here for. So I just want to remind people that on the idea of the conflict of interest idea. I yield the rest of my time.
We are now in line for questioning. Vice Chair Hurst.
First of all, that was a lot of words. That was great. We talked like Ethan for a minute. That was impressive. Just the speeding was incredible. Do you have it written down?
Yeah.
That's impressive. My second thing, I'm not concerned about, this is not debate. I'm actually asking a question. I'm just wanting to kind of preempt it. I'm not concerned as much about having an EC member on ENA. It's an ENA member on EC, as there is there, so this is my question actually for if Sierra or Brody or anyone can answer it. Is there precedent for having a member of the legislative branch on any other issue when it comes to executive, judicial, or EC? Because as I remember it, there is no precedent for having someone from legislative on another one of the branch's committees or groups.
Nothing. So no, there's no precedent for having a senator sitting within a different branch or the EC's function. There are ad hoc committees and working groups that are created, which definitely have senators, and the caucuses are not a Senate function. Those are a student government function that have Senate seats on them. But to specific your question, no, there is not precedent for that.
Chair Temple.
Likewise, to bounce off that question as well, is there any precedent for a non-senator to have full voting privileges on a committee?
Not that I'm aware of. I think I feel like, I can't guarantee this, but I feel like there have been past iterations of fiscal committees or LJR that have had the but the Attorney General and LJR have voted in committees in the past. I think that is technically incorrect when that has happened, but I do believe it has happened in the past. But no, I don't think there is any official seat with a voting member.
Chair Minchili.
May I provide a point of information to Brody's comments?
To answer the questions?
About precedent, yes.
You may.
About the Attorney General has, in my experience in student government, spoken in LJR a fair number of times and has provided opinions that has helped the LJR committee, but I have never seen the Attorney General vote on LJR votes.
Temple.
Additional question to the matter for me?
To who?
Just different question.
Oh, you may.
So with this, and this is something that I hadn't had the chance to ask, but what would the implications be to the balance of power should we provide a non-senator a vote on a committee?
I don't know that I can speak to the potential implications. I think that's subjective and is up for you all to decide.
Chair DeCara.
I would like to add a matter onto that. I also was kind of this was also a thing because I remember when I joined ENA, the joke was election commission was not even really student government. It had student government election commission, but they didn't really speak. They didn't really do anything. It was really hoping, you just hoped that the supervisor would come in and all that. But Grace has been an amazing supervisor. The reason, another main reason I did this was because it kind of solidifies the connection we have with them. They kind of sit as a separate body, but I believe that because of what they do, they technically should also be considered even a fourth branch. The joke was they weren't even considered a branch. They were just a separate group. And I believe they should be treated as such with the same result. We as ENA determined things for them and they kind of just took it. They kind of were just okay. Even then it's the person came in and spoke about it, it should sway votes. But then again, what if we as a body in the future, hopefully not, as a senators wrote something that could have hindered the election, and the supervisor just gets to go in there and speak, but that swaying vote, a supervisor is voting no on something, could sway the votes of other people when it comes to an internal bill or resolution on the floor. A supervisor of elections votes does matter to people. Their expertise of knowledge does matter to people.
Chair DeCara, make sure it's answering the question.
It's elaborating. It's elaborating to that.
Okay.
It's not like a sway of power, like the checks and balances thing. As I said in there, it's just ensuring that, it actually just solidifies checks and balances between us and ENA and Election Commission.
Are there any other questions? I'll go ILA Pullman and then Chair Hamid.
Yeah, I think this could also be to anyone who could answer. Is this not maybe overarching in terms of checks and balances? Like, how does that fall into that?
Is that for Chair DeCara? You may answer.
I can answer. I don't see it as such because before, EA made election statutes, but then the Election Commission didn't have anything to do. The reason why I made a role where they could vote and then the ENA rep was that, check between both. Before there was no way for Election Commission to make any movement a matter. They just spoke and that was it. But the voting allows them to, still come to us and be like, hey, Election Commission feels this way. And, that vote means something, as I said before.
Hamid?
This is for anyone who can answer it. Also, there's no shade. What exactly does the Election Commission vote on? Because I've never attended a meeting.
Is there a motion for a non-senator to speak? That being, let me finish though. That being Supervisor Myers for the duration of seeing these bills and resolution, this block of amendments. Okay, go ahead.
So really it depends. For the most part, in my experience, EC is relatively informal. So the only things we have like official votes on are like the election theme and violation hearing results. But that could change in the future. Like if someone wanted to take over and make it a more formal body, more similar to y'all, they could do that. It's just not required of us in statutes. So currently that is the only thing for my 2 years of experience that we've voted on.
Is that a follow-up? You may.
And both of the things that you are currently voting on, they just spoke about directly affect senators or Senate elections.
I mean, the theme, no. But regarding, I guess, violation hearings, theoretically, yes. But I mean, only if they do something like tier 4 violation level is the only thing that could potentially lead to disqualification. But also at the same time, like Chair DeCara said, y'all have a code of ethics that you must follow. So you're required to abstain if you think there's a conflict of interest. So I feel like that shouldn't be an issue.
Temple and then ELA Richmond.
Question to the ENA chair.
You may.
Have you discussed the? Have you discussed this matter with the Attorney General?
I have.
You may.
What was her input on this piece of legislation?
She was in support. As you know, she's been busy with that, but she has read over. As I said this before, this is on second reading. I mentioned this to Vice Chair Harris, is that this is on second reading. If you do want to speak to her a bit more about it, we also have like 2 weeks until it goes back to third reading because we have the special session next week. But as I've mentioned to her, she had no objection firsthand when I mentioned it, and she had no outright problem with it. It was more of like she just said, hey, like I like to think about this, and also she's raising the same concerns just in general as like you up here. But I mentioned the same thing to her, and she didn't have a problem of reason why I made the second part. She was perfectly fine with the supervisor sitting on the ENA. The ENA rep, I will agree, yes, she did say that she was just wanted a few questions about that, but I answered it, and she didn't really have a problem with it.
ELA Richmond, and then Senator Lacasse.
For the ENA rep, I guess it's more like a theoretical question, but how many times do you think they would actually get to vote, and then compared to how many times they would actually abstain?
Is that directed to Chair DeCara or the supervisor?
Oh, the supervisor, apologies.
I mean, I think it would partially depend. Like, let's say your bestie is running for Senate and they had a violation. I think you should abstain in that situation. But in other situations, like in theory, if you're not running against each other, I don't think that should be a problem. So considering we don't have a large majority of violations, most years it depends, it varies. It really just depends on the situation. I don't think that they would abstain more than they would vote, though, personally.
Hurst. Oh, I mean, Lacasse and then Hurst.
This is completely off topic. This is to the speaker. I was just gonna ask. I still do have like voting privileges, right? I still do have like voting
Yeah,
privileges.
until
Okay.
you're signed over sworn in, you're still good.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Hurst.
For the supervisor, you were here for, sorry, this is 2.
You may.
For last session, you were in the EC, right? How many violations did you see last for this session?
I believe it was 3.
I'm so sorry, there's a follow-up. What the tiers were those violations? Were they all tier 4s?
No, none of them were tier 4s.
Okay.
Or actually, no, one of them was a tier 4. And then the other ones were like 2 or 3.
And I'm so sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
With the tier 4 violation, was that seen and then they actually were given the violation and they were no longer allowed to run?
No, they weren't found in violation of it.
Okay,
It wasn't
thank you.
something they consented to.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'll take a motion. Chair Rose.
It says that there are 10 people on the elections commission. Is that like a minimum or a target or what?
I would say that's the maximum that you can have. I mean, target would be lovely, but right now we have 9, so it's actually pretty sick. But we did not have that many last year. But yeah, that would be the maximum in theory.
Lacasse.
Can I make a motion?
You may.
Motion to move debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate on the block of legislation. Are there any objections? Bintel, is that an objection?
Yeah, I had a question. Sorry.
Do you withdraw, Lacasse?
Yeah, I withdraw.
And then you can retain, I guess, question mark. No, go ahead. Just go ahead. Ask your question.
Can we clarify the justification for full voting privileges again? I'm not sure if I missed it or not.
I felt that in the ENA, also another thing to mention is that ENA is like always like the lowest amount of committee people. We only have like 3 people in it. And additionally, it's also nice to have that expertise of knowledge, and especially that's something that's an integral part of the student body, student government itself, being the election. I felt that her role earns that, that sense of being able to vote. I do understand, with LJR, the Attorney General comes in to speak, Gak Martin, comes in can debate. But I felt that in the sense of what ENA and what the committee does in itself has a much more integral and needs that sort of voice and that vote so I felt that it needs to be a voting measure. I also looked, additionally, when I first had it, I had it only as debating, but I read it more and more. And I kind of felt that the supervisor deserves and it kind of like should have that right to be able to vote with all the knowledge they have and what they're doing for student government in general.
Temple.
Seeing no further hands, move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. All righty. Yaman Chili.
So when we saw the 5523 in LJR today, I didn't really know how to feel about it. I was mixed about it. But after hearing the arguments presented and the questions that were asked, I feel like I'm staunchly against both bills. On a matter of democratic principles and checks and balances, I don't think that the jobs of the Election Commission and the ENA committee should necessarily be mixed. Those are 2 different things. ENA is in charge of confirmations made by the executive branch to the Senate and to the executive branch itself, as well as overhauls of Title VI on the election statutes. Election Commission is responsible for election violation hearings and the theme of each election. I don't see how those 2 things are related, and I don't see why the input of one agency in one committee and one committee in the commission is necessary to foster any sort of coordination, because essentially based on the jurisdiction of both entities, those are different things. And if on principle, I do believe that it is not right to put the supervisor of elections on the ENA committee just in order to flip votes, just because the supervisor is in that position. That does not mean that any future supervisor may always be right. Senators should be encouraged to think for themselves and should not be encouraged to flip their votes based on appeals to authority. And on that account, I will be voting against both bills, and I encourage you all to do the same, because I believe that it is integral to the protection of the power of the Senate and the integrity and sanctity of this body's power. Thank you.
Okay, we will go Palera, Lazo, Temple, Lacasse.
I just want to say I think this is a great bill introduced by a great CCIE senator. I think that the input from the the supervisor of elections would be very valuable on ENA, and I'll be voting in support.
Lazo.
I have to staunchly disagree with my colleague. I think this is actually the perfect thing that we need in order to maintain democracy. The actual government, both on the federal and local, state, whatever level that we work on, works by maintaining an intermingling of our branches. If we are divided, if we do not interact with each other, we're essentially on our own island. So personally, I think this is actually integral, and I do think that that Election Commission does a lot more than just pick a theme. That's honestly infantilizing EC. So I strongly urge that you vote in favor of this.
Temple?
I'm going to agree with both of what's been said so far, both the against party and the pro party, because I completely understand the sentiments and the intention of the legislation put forward by Chair DeCara. It's a great bill. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is something that absolutely needs to happen, and it's that good linkage between the ENA committee as well as the Election Commission. However, I would be very cautious against the voting rights in particular. And that is because, just from the input regarding that, it didn't seem to be that much of a threshold. It didn't meet that sort of threshold for me when it came to granting voting rights to the head of an independent body, as and vice versa as well. That all said, though, I do believe that this bill can and should be passed, but not in the condition that it's in. Rather, it would be best if we can potentially come together and hash out some sort of compromise in order to fix the language of this, in order for all parties to be accepting. Because I completely understand what the senators who are for this are for. They want that linkage with the Election Commission. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. That's exactly what the LGR committee does with the Attorney General. That's exactly what ORS does with the Comptroller, and it is exactly what the GAP committee does with the GAC. Yes, you should have expected me to bring in GAP in all of this. But it's true. It is a fact of the matter that there are several ex officio seats between exec and the legislative branch. And I understand the point that Chair DeCara had brought up regarding that the jurisdiction between these entities are very different, yes. But at the end of the day, all of these are going towards the benefits and the welfare of the student body. And we need to make sure that those checks are, without any doubt, secure. Because yes, we are saying that there are going to be senators who are going to be on EC who will be abstaining from those votes. And there is going to be supervisor of elections who are going to be abstaining from votes that benefit either side. But those are all based off of assumptions as well. Because remember, and coming from an economics major, humans are impossible to predict. And even if there is a code of ethics, there could be several instances that fly under the radar. And that simply just cannot stand, especially in a democratic institution where accountability is absolutely paramount. So as a result, I would suggest postponing this until we are able to come together and meet with the Attorney General to hash out some sort of language and to work with the supervisor of elections a little more. And because I'm sure that you have plenty of ideas with this consideration as well, given just how contentious this is turning out to be. Ultimately, I want to see this passed. I do not want my words minced. I don't want them taken out of context and put on Fox News. I want this all to be. I want this bill to pass. I love cross branch collaborations. Yes, you can cringe at that joke. It's well intended for that purpose. But like I said, until we can come together to find the right language, and it's going to be like the just right language, everybody can come away with something regarding this.
All right, Lacasse.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I think the biggest thing for me that has me in support of this is the fact that it is sponsored as well by the supervisor elections. Supervisor Myers is an incredibly knowledgeable individual, and I take her words very highly when it comes to, supporting this. And I do not believe she would have put her name on this bill and resolution without doing her due diligence. When it comes to checks and balances, I feel that the fact that it goes both ways ensures that nobody is getting the upper hand on the other. And as well as when it comes to accountability, realistically, if we wanted to, have a serious conversation about that, we could have the argument that anybody could be in conflict of interest at any time and choose not to abstain on any of our votes in Senate because somebody could have something to gain. But that is why we have mechanisms to have a motion of no confidence. That's why we have methods of impeachment, and to kind of take away the trust in our institutions kind of shows that we are not willing to put trust in each other. And we have the system set up as it is because if we don't have that trust, we have methods of removing them. So I feel like accountability is not a large concern, but I feel like it is a large concern that so far Election Commission and the legislative branch don't really have a point to connect between. And I feel like having this would ensure that there is that communication. There is not a sense of ENA or the Senate is passing these bills that are affecting the Election Commission without any input. And I don't see the Supervisor of Elections vote on ENA as something that is purely there for an appeal to authority or something to sway votes, but purely to show where someone with expertise in this area stands, and also for a body being able to stand up for itself and being able to vote in its best interests, which at this time is kind of unilaterally decided by the Senate. So I feel like by passing this, we are ensuring that there is proper checks in both the legislative and EC, as well as giving a voice to both into what happens on either body. So I am strongly in favor of this bill and resolution.
All right. I will do Blanco, Samillo, Federico, and then I'll come back to you guys.
So I wanted to start off by saying that I agree with my peers that are in favor completely. I think that evolution is essential, especially as time progresses, and this goes in all aspects. I think that the bill is very selfless and it's very considerate, and I do think that precaution was greatly taken.
I guess it's kind of just a question to anyone who's against. I'm not really understanding the argument of like, maybe we should look back through this just because of the fact that Myers did also sign off on this and put her name on it. Like, that's kind of a stamp of approval in my opinion. So I guess I'm just confused on why there's the argument of like, well, maybe we didn't get her voice in it when she literally has her name on it. So I'm a little confused on like that aspect, if anybody could clarify.
Would anyone dissenting like to clarify? Hurst?
This thing is too far away from me. I will try to answer your question the best I can. It's less about not having Supervisor Election Myers sign off, because obviously she has signed off on this. She has put her name on this. It's more about, as Chair DeCaris said, it is like possibly swaying votes with Supervisor Myers' input, whether that be because of her expertise, the knowledge she has, or however she decides to debate on votes or on issues, could sway a senator's vote. And the point of us all being elected here, or at least put in these positions by other senators, is we are all of our own sound mind and body. We don't need someone trying to sway our votes. So having someone that is, this is not the right wording, an outsider, but they're not an outsider because she's working with us all the time. Someone that is not an elected position, giving that debate and giving that possibility of sway is the concern. I did not answer your question right. I am so sorry.
Follow up, Samilo.
I guess it's kind of just like, isn't that what we're doing in debate in general? Like whenever we have people debate here in Senate and like hear everybody's voice, like we're doing right now, isn't that kind of the same thing, even if it was from an outside point of view? Because there's times when we'll look at legislation and then we'll say, hey, can we motion for AG Moore to speak on this topic? And then we get her point of view. So I'm just a little confused on what how that's different. I know that it was mentioned, but like you kind of just said the same thing. So I was just confused.
I promise you're not boring me. I promise. I'm tired. I will let Chair DeCara for clarification because his hand was up, and then Hurst, you can answer.
I'm gonna clarify something. When I said about like the vote because they know their expertise matter, I just felt like, as a right there as a student body, when I don't know something, let's say I don't know something fiscal, I would go to the fiscal chair because they would know their knowledge. So that would sway my vote because I'm going to the person of the expertise. It wasn't like they're going to sway my vote. I'm going to the person who knows more about the thing and who could help me answer my question. It's not a sense of like, they're going to tell me what to vote for. It's a sense of who can tell me of like what part of the statute says this and what says that. It's not like I said it in the sense of like, Grace is like, you need to vote for this on this statute. She's going to go in and say, this says here, here, and here. This has happened in the past here. This is what could happen here. It's about, informing us as senators because sometimes we're not like, I'm not the best at fiscal. So I look at Kylie. That's how that works. We look to each other who have more knowledge in other areas to help learn from each other. It wasn't a sense of like, I looked at them to how they're going to vote. I looked at them to learn more about how I want to vote.
Hurst?
I gotta start moving this before I turn it on.
Just keep it down.
I know, right? I'm so sorry. I have no problem with someone giving me facts and information on things. That's why I have great respect for AG Moore and giving us information and facts on things, as well as Supervisor Miser when she gives us facts, and when Kylie gives us facts about fiscal stuff, as well as Butler when Borges was here and giving us facts about stuff as well. I have no problem with us getting factual information. My biggest issue with this is having voting attached to it. Because you can give me all the debate in the world, but the fact that you're able to vote on that as well when you are not someone that is part of the legislative body concerns me.
Raise your hands up high in the sky so that I can organize. Federico was next in line, and after Federico, I'm going to go. Finn, are you pointing? Okay. Jason, you be. I'm gonna go Brown, and then Actually, no. I'm gonna allow Federico because he was next in line. Then are these amendments? Before I continue, are these amendments changing the interpretation of the bill?
Yes.
Okay, if that is the case, I will continue, because if we see those, then we're going to have to go into another rabbit hole of questioning and debate and speeches. So what I will do is I will allow Federico, and then the other three that I saw with their hands up, Brown, Fintel, and who else was it? Your hand was up. So I'll just do Federico, Brown, Fintel, and then we'll hit your amendment. Okay, Federico?
So I fully understand the purpose and the sentiment behind these bills, but kind of on further inspection here, like I'm almost kind of seeing ENA, I'm on ENA, as ENA being separate from Election Commission, I see is almost being the check itself. I personally am also worried about, I'm worried about the supervisor of elections having voting privileges just because the committee, again, is so small, and having only 3 members currently, and then adding that one person with voting rights would sway the vote by 25%. And I think that, again, is something that is a little concerning, just seeing as it is kind of a Senate body. And I view that kind of as the check, the separate system in which Senate is able to input their voice into the election and appointments process apart from the election commission. And we were granted that ability through the committee. So that is my kind of, that's why I think I will be voting against the bill.
Okay, Brown.
So first, before I debate, is it okay if I just kind of ask a point of clarification to anyone who can answer?
Okay.
So like senators, unless you're confirmed by the Senate body, you have to be elected by the students. Is there anything similar for the supervisor of elections, or is it just a confirmation from, or a, I guess, appointment from the president?
Myers?
Yeah, you get interviewed by, I believe it's usually the president and the attorney general, and then you go through E&A and then full body Senate.
Okay, so for my point of debate, I guess, because I remember earlier Chair Smillo was like asking what the difference was between, asking the attorney general for information, how that would be different to have the supervisor of elections debating and voting if, we still collaborate with exec and whatnot. And I think the difference is that senators kind of our primary purpose is to serve the students. Originally, a lot of us are elected by the students. And I think, I agree that the check is kind of with E&A, the Senate body being the ones that are voting on it, because we're the ones that are supposed to be advocating for the students first above all else. And like, that's our entire purpose, I guess. And I think it's fine to collaborate and have the supervisor of elections as a point of information, maybe just there to give info and stuff. But when it comes to getting into debating and voting, that's kind of going into the position of advocating for the students. And that's not why, they weren't elected by the students. So I don't want to vote in favor of this bill because I don't think that the supervisor of elections, who wasn't chosen by the students, should be talking and debating for the students. So.
Okay. I'm just going to echo some of what we've heard previously of my main concern is the voting on this, because that is a monumental power and privilege that we have as senators. And I think that is a bigger overlap of responsibilities that should not be shared lightly. And it is something that we have that is unique to this body, and it is something we have to use responsibly. And as a senator that represents the College of Engineering and Computer Science, I have worked with many RSOs, I've interfaced with them and the members of my college. And if they wanted me to sit on that committee, I would try my best to heed their wants and then vote appropriately in the ways that they wanted. And I cannot say the same of any other position outside of Senate, because I have that direct responsibility to the student body for my college.
Okay. I did say Almond Chili can see their amendment, so I will have to get to your hand after. I will have to get to that after. Almond Chili.
Move to see my amendments as a block.
There's been a motion to see Chair Almond Chili's amendments. Is it on both? Yeah, okay. On both pieces of legislation as a block, are there any objections? Anyone can object.
I object.
Do you withdraw?
No.
I do not.
Hi, everyone. So we're going to go into pro-con. So pro is the objection, Aiden. Con is Almond Chili. Almond Chili is trying to see a block of amendments on the pieces of legislation. Look at them. Give me one moment, please. Yeah, I'm about to tell you. So yes is pro the objection. Con is Almond Chili. Yes is Aiden. Con is Almond Chili. Y-N. Okay. Give me a second, because it's been a minute. Okay. I guess we'll allow the objector to say why they objected.
It's strictly, they each get 1 minute. The objection goes first.
Okay. So They each get 1 minute. Pro, yes. Con, no. They'll explain their reasonings for objection and the amendment, and then you guys will have the opportunity to vote on whether you are yes for Aiden and or no for Yam and Chili. If you need any clarification before we get to voting, please let me know. Aiden, you have a minute when you're ready.
I gave the supervisor voting rights for a reason because, again, they don't function how executive functions as like other ex officio, quote unquote, are in other places with an LJR and GAP. Election commission is an entirely different thing of how they function. So, and again, there was no check for them against us. They just sat there and whatever election rules we gave them, they just sat there and took. Again, like, what does it mean? You're going to come in here and debate, but again, the Senate's just be like, okay, well, we voted this no matter what. And again, it just makes it feel like their voice doesn't matter.
30
their
seconds.
voice matters and their vote matters. That's why I'm including them. They deserve the same, because again, they are also serving the student body. We put them there because we thought that they would be serving the student body. Again, Grace is also tabling and going out there speaking to students about election measures too. So she's not just like doing stuff and being separate by herself. She is also speaking to the student body. I yield the rest of my time.
Yam and Chili, a minute.
So these amendments cover an important principle that we've been debating about in questioning and debate. And I don't believe that this principle is something that should be objected over. The previous points that Chair DeCara mentioned could have been debated with the amendments being seen. I believe that they deserve to have arguments for and against, and I believe we should have a debate on them instead of just shutting down debate completely on the topic. And so we should have a further debate on this because we have had many senators express concerns about voting rights for like the ENA rep on the election commission and the supervisor on ENA. And so that should be debated. And I don't believe that that is sufficient justification to shut down debate on the amendments altogether.
Okay. We go straight to voting, right, Brody? Okay, I will clarify this one last time. Yes on your clicker is Aiden. No on your clicker is Yam and Chili. And abstaining is abstaining. Okay? Are there any questions before we go into voting procedures? Clarification. If you are voting, there's also no talking. Go ahead and vote. Okay, so the vote count to 11 to 16 to 3, we will see the amendments. Also, everybody say bye to my dad and my grandpa.
Bye. Thank you for joining us.
My grandpa is not only served this country, but he is a UCF alum, okay? Bye, grandpa, I love you. I just had to break the ice a little bit. Temple.
Move for 5-minute speeches, unlimited questioning, unlimited debate.
There's been a motion for 5-minute speeches, 5-minute questioning, 5-minute debate on the block of amendments. I'm sorry, did I mess that up?
Unlimited questioning, unlimited debate.
My apologies. 5-minute speeches, unlimited question, unlimited debate on the block of amendments that Yam and Chili has introduced. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Yam and Chili, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So the reason why I introduced these block of amendments is because, again, I believe that the people who are appointed to student government positions or elected to those positions should be doing what they were assigned to do. When you are elected to the Senate or appointed to the Senate, you represent your college, you represent your constituents. That's roughly 1,000 people. It is not your job to determine how an election is run. That's like having a member of Congress sit on the Federal Election Commission. We don't have that in our country, and we shouldn't. This bill also depends on people being in good faith. Who knows? People in the future could use their positions unjustly and abuse their power in ways that are not conducive to the student body. And again, I repeat my concerns and Vice Chair Hurst's concerns that I don't believe in appeals to authority. I don't believe that the authority of people should be used to flip votes. We have checks and balances for a reason. We have separation of powers for a reason. I'm completely in favor of collaboration. I 100% believe that the ENA committee talking to members of the Election Commission is a great thing. It should be encouraged. People should listen to each other and take other people's views into account. However, I don't believe that they should have voting rights on each other's entities. There is a reason why, when it comes to the comptroller sitting on CRT or the AG sitting on LJR, they are there on an advisory role. They are not there to vote and debate. They are there on an advisory role. And for those same reasons, I believe that the supervisor of elections should be an advisor to the ENA committee, and the members of the ENA committee should be advisors to the supervisor of elections and the members of the election commission. So as I said, I cannot support these bills as they currently stand, but I will say that I would support them both if these amendments were enacted, because again, I believe in collaboration. I just don't believe that voting on each other's entities is conducive to the student body, because it entirely relies on good faith, and it relies on essentially the aspect of not going there with a ill intention. And so with that, I'm going to encourage you all to vote in favor of these amendments. And if the amendments were passed, I would also encourage you to pass both of these bills, as I believe that that is a reasonable compromise between those who are for the bill as they currently stand and against the bill as they currently stand. Thank you. I yield my time.
We're now in line for questioning. Are there questions? We'll go Lazo, Samilo. You may.
So first question, you mentioned that you don't like any appeals to authority, even though it's not like Supervisor Myers is going to be in the room telling people how to vote. So does that mean that for future instances when you need advice, will you not ask advice for AG Moore or any other type of authority, since you don't believe in appeals to authority?
So I should have clarified. I believe in appeals to authority to the extent that they should be advisory. I think that having an advisory role and having voting and debating privileges are an entirely different thing. Those should be differentiated. The AG has always and has often attended LJR meetings and helped the LJR committee, but the AG has never voted on the committee or sought to vote on the committee. And when it comes to ENA, I believe it should stay that way. And so, yes, I would encourage asking advice. I would encourage collaboration. I just don't believe in voting privileges.
Thank you for that first.
Second question.
Thank you for that first answer. For the second question, how fair do you think it is that ENA can vote and elect election commission rules, even though election commission does not have that same power or even the same loose ability to do that in the reverse? How do you think that's fair?
So if you think about how a government ought to be run, it is generally a legislature that determines what the laws are and what the statutes are. We are a lawmaking body, and to determine how Title VI should be structured, for example, is a power of the Senate. It has been for decades. Similarly, if I were to make an analogy to the state or the federal government, the State Election Commission does not make laws for the people of Florida, and the Federal Election Commission does not make laws for the people of the United States. And I would say this is the same principle.
Is that a follow-up?
More question towards Aiden, our Supervisor Myers. Would this, just as a question, how many times are you making laws in ENA? Just the rough estimate.
I mean, if I'm being honest, we only saw laxes in fall, and this is Oh, my bad. There'd be 2, and then this would be the 3rd.
So, do you not think that the supervisor of elections, whether that be Myers or one in the future, has the ability or the ethics to take a step back and abstain when it is a lawmaking matter?
If you ask them, if you ask the supervisor to abstain on a lawmaking matter, what is the point of having voting privileges in the first place?
The question wasn't asking the supervisor of elections to abstain. It was having the good faith in another human being or a member of our student government to have that ethics code and abstain themselves.
Again, at that point, I believe that when it comes to collaboration, it's better suited as an advisory role. I still don't understand how voting would actually help the situation.
No further question.
Samila, and then did anybody else have their hand up? DeKara? No?
I guess it's a question directed either to Aiden or Grace. With the purpose of writing the resolution in the bill, do you think that you putting your name on it or you creating this would have a completely different meaning and you wouldn't agree with it now with the idea of you not being able to vote?
Can you rephrase that?
Okay, so like the resolution in the bill, it was written so that there was voting privileges. If it's taken away and we go through with these amendments, would the reason for you writing the resolution in the bill be like completely diminished, I guess? Like what was the reason for her having voting privileges, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying.
The whole point was to give a vote to a body that we don't even consider a branch, like legislative comes in or not. Like honestly, Grace isn't really even required. Like it's the only thing is like in the past one, it was like the AG and me and the supervisor were first to meet for one time in the fall semester. You're like, she's not really like supposed to do anything. Like honestly, she doesn't even come until the fall. Like they don't even come into the fall. They're not like presidential things like where we come in and then the cabinet is slowly coming in. They don't come in until literally I think end of summer. Like it's the whole point was that they're like they function separately with all 3 branches. They do things differently. And I felt that this is why it's different than the whole just debating, not voting. I felt that in a sense that because they are kind of like a they function differently, they should deserve that vote. In a sense, it's because it's like they're a separate body with no connections back to us except for ENA, with only us, the legislative body, determining their votes. And again, they're not like writing anything. We're writing stuff for them and they just have to listen. That's why I gave them a vote, is because it's just like I wouldn't want to be, if I was on EC, I would maybe if I was, I was so good at election statutes and I've read everything and I go, this could compete on election things. What am I supposed to do? Go back to Senate and just be like, hey, can you guys like listen? But if it went by with no voice from a supervisor, like it just feels like you're taking away the voice from election commission. Like they deserve a voice and the voice is the supervisor. And that's why I'm allowing them to have that vote.
Are there any other questions? Hurst?
To clarify, if this amendment goes through, would you still support the bill? That goes for DeKara and Myers.
No.
I probably am at the stance of it's better than nothing. But I also, as mentioned previously, there was an option of postponing it and rediscussing it later. So I also think that could be a viable option.
If that's the case, I think we wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't be able to apply to this election. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Are there any other questions, Temple?
Seeing no further hands, move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are in debate of the amendments, Temple, Brown, and that's it.
All right. So yeah, as I said in my debate on the whole legislation as a whole, I do not oppose what the whole thing does. In fact, this is kind of exactly what I would want to see from the resolution in its final form. So I will be supporting the amendment. And of course, if for some reason this still does not pass, I will still be open to having this bill postponed so we can discuss this more in depth, because ultimately this is a really consequential thing that ultimately has to happen. And I was trying to think, sorry, long day, but yeah. The election, make no mistake, the Election Commission absolutely deserves a voice in ENA. But to have it backed by a vote is a really questionable matter that kind of over exceeds what the initial goal is. As has been said before, the point of having the supervisor brought onto the committee in the first place is expertise knowledge. And having them have full debate powers should be plenty enough. It should be perfect. And that should be not more than enough, but that's exactly the area in which it should be. They are able to speak in committee without having to go through the additional parliamentary steps of have them be moved to speak every single time or for the duration of the meeting. Like, that is the sweet spot right there. And we kind of arch a little bit beyond that. So I will be supporting this amendment. I encourage you all to do the same.
Brown, and then Kringle.
Yeah, so I will also be voting in favor of these amendments. I really do think that collaboration is necessary for our student government to run properly, but I don't think collaboration means overlapping of duties. And yeah, I mean, this just reads really strangely to me, because I feel like with all this talk about the expertise of the supervisor of elections, all I'm thinking about is like, this would be like in our, US or Florida Congress, if we had an expert economist come out and then gave them voting rights, like, because they were an expert. I don't think that really makes any sense. And I think that voting rights in this body, for a committee in this body, should be reserved for the senators that got elected by the students for this body, and not for someone who wasn't elected by the students. So I fully support the amendments, and yeah, that's it.
Laza. Oh, Kringle, my bad. And then Laza.
Yeah, I'm going to also agree with the past 2 points. I do agree with these amendments, and I would like to see them passed. Again, like the point of collaboration, it will help with collaboration a lot. I think having that point of advising is essential for, just working between the branches, and also the original point of checks and balances. I feel like voting power is a little too much to be giving across the different branches, so I'll be voting in favor.
Laza.
I will be voting in negation of these amendments simply because I think it eradicates the actual meaning of the bill and essentially renders it null and void. The whole purpose of this bill is to give a long unrecognized branch of the student government that isn't even recognized as a branch the actual voting power that it deserves to stand up for itself and to have a voice. Honestly, it's really dismaying hearing the desperation in Supervisor of Elections' voice when she says, it's better than nothing. That's honestly embarrassing of us as a body, and I really think we need to work better at that.
Fintel, DeCara, Hearst Temple.
So I can understand wanting to give the Elections Commission more of a voice in regard to how their own body is managed and run. However, the powers being extended to it without these amendments is overreaching. ENA also sees and votes on potential new senators, justices, and more within the rest of Senate and student government as a whole, responsibilities that the Elections Commission, to the best of my knowledge, currently does not share and should not be shared. So this is giving it more power that it currently doesn't have, and that power should stay with Senate as we are elected by our student body. And I will be voting in favor of these amendments.
DeCara?
When I vote on certain things, I don't like having the idea of voting that, I don't like the idea where people are like only focusing on the matter of the negative. Like, people are put in their positions because we believe they're put in that positions, solely thinking that like we're just hoping on them to be a good person. What do you mean? Like, are you just saying that like we just put them there because we put them there? We're all put here for a reason, because one, we won our elections, then we got appointed, and we went through all the different processes to get here. Like, I don't like the whole thing of like like, oh, on good faith. We all have good faith. We all want to be here students. We all said our speeches and we all want to be here for students. I don't like the idea of betting on the fact that it's just like, I hope they're a good person. Like, that's why I don't want, like, if they're a bad person, then like what happens there? Are you seriously betting on the fact that they're going to be not do their job? And if something falls through, we have accountability measures. That's what we all here as senators do, like senators and everyone in this like entire student government has, is like, if they can't do their job, they can be taken out of it. Both like that rep too can be taken out of it as a senator, and so can Supervisor Myers be removed from their position. It's happened before, like two sessions ago.
Hurst.
The bill as it is now with the amendments is better than having nothing. And Supervisor Miser and I talked about this earlier about how ENA has been chill about them talking about in meetings. It doesn't matter to us because we love to hear what you talk about. We love to hear your information. Having it enshrined in our statutes that they have debating rights in the meetings, so that the next ENA chair, if they don't want someone to talk because they don't like their face or whatever their reasoning might be, if they're not a nice person or not a reasonable person, they still have that ability to debate and still give their opinion. I think that's important for us to have. So throwing away the entire bill because you're not getting everything, I don't see that as the best way forward. I think if we can vote on this and have the full debating rights added without voting rights is a step in the right direction. And if you want to revisit it in another session, next session, if there's like someone that says they should have voting rights, they can revisit this issue.
Temple. Wait, who did I? Yeah, Temple. And then you can go.
Yeah, I think it was somebody, I can't remember at this point. But yeah, to jump onto Hurst's point here, it's that we all have different ideas in this chamber. Legislatures by design are meant to bring in several different people with their different backgrounds and different experiences and different ideals. That is what makes, well, any sort of democratic legislature incredibly frustrating, incredibly inefficient, but also worth joining. Because that is why the principle of compromise is of paramount importance. And yes, as a GAP chair who has seen and is absolutely delved into a world of politics and policy, compromise is tossed around quite a bit. But here, it's the best thing that can happen to this bill, in my personal opinion, because like if we are to provide them the voting rights here, that is unmarked territory. So joining me with this thought of experiment, because economists love thought experiments, say we are to treat the EC as a fourth branch. That would put them on par with the likes of judicial and executive. And that would create a precedent heretofore unseen in this chamber, or in this, not chamber, this system. That would be like giving the Attorney General, the Comptroller, the Governmental Affairs Coordinator, any sort of voting power in our committees. Those are all unelected positions appointed and who serve at the pleasure of the president. Well, yeah, those three anyway. And yes, that sounds ludicrous, but that's I know that's not exactly what the nature of DeCara's bill is, but that could very well be taken in a very different direction with a very different session, because interpretations change with each session. Sure, we may know what the exact intention of the bill is now, but who knows 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, or even next year. So taking these reforms one step at a time is crucial, and sticking with things that we know to be true and we know to be effective is a far greater thing than to take a big leap of faith and see if it blows up in our face or not, which is why I'm still going to be supporting these amendments and why I would still be supporting to postpone this bill in the event that these bills do not pass, or these amendments do not pass.
DeCara Lacasse. Lacasse.
Oh, sorry. So the biggest thing I want to talk about, because it's something I heard a lot like thrown around, is precedent. I feel like there's always a good time to set a new precedent, and someone has to be the first one to do something. And maybe the way that we run things isn't the way that they should be run. And maybe this is an important way to, promote the voice of, again, an underrepresented branch, essentially. And again, if that precedent doesn't work in the future, they can do exactly what we're doing now and change course. If this does not work, if there's consistent issues with it that seem like they're not being remedied, things can be changed. What comes to my mind is Plessy v. Ferguson, where, there was a Supreme Court ruling, just for example, segregation is okay. That was the precedent. But the Supreme Court went against that precedent with Brown v. Board. Things can change. We should be open to doing new things, even if they haven't been done before. And if they don't work, we can change them, or the next session can change them. We shouldn't be afraid of, oh, what if this? Because we, as the Senate, have the power to change them. And so we should not be afraid of making that change. That is why we are here. Not to just let things be as they've always been. Otherwise, we would never pass anything, but to make things happen.
Takira?
I'm gonna hearing the phrase better than nothing completely answers my thing of why I would vote no. I didn't come in here making this to I'm not gonna say it, what this bill. When I write my stuff, I give 100% of it, even if it's like my proclamations, my resolutions. I also give it to our internal bills. I don't go in here just to go half and half. It's like, well, like hearing better than nothing completely does not, like that completely shows you an unrepresented voice is literally goes, well, it's better than, like they could just have like, maybe like we limit to them like 15 words when they debate. Like that's the thing is like the voting thing is like they're an unrepresented voice. And they, again, hearing like they don't have the same branch, they're over here, they're over like seeing how like we as agree and how we say it, or like it's not really even like a third, like we don't even consider like a branch at all, just kind of shows that why it deserves that voice, why it deserves something. And again, like it doesn't even function how like our cabinet positions work. Our cabinet positions are like those are just appointed by the president, and we know we confirm them too, but like it basically the better than nothing really, that told me that like that answered my entire reason of why of making this. They had nothing then. It's just kind of a voice here and not like a few words to say here and that's it. But this solidifies of who they are within our student government.
Yaman, Chili, Torres, and then I'll go Brown. No, come back to you.
So the supervisor of elections is a respected figure. I believe collaboration should be encouraged. I believe the ENA should be talking to the supervisor. And so to that point, having the election commission on ENA, I believe is already a great step forward. Having those debating privileges is a great step forward in ensuring that this underrepresented entity of student government gets its due representation. However, voting privileges are still overreaching. The AG does not vote on LJR, the comptroller does not vote on fiscal committees, and the GAC does not vote on GAP. And I don't see how an exception to this rule can be made. There just isn't sufficient justification for it.
Wait, who did I say? Who? Torres? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So I finally have the guts to speak. After hearing both sides of the debate, I have ultimately decided to go against the amendment. Personally, I'm looking at this as like a way for us to try something new, and I'm viewing this as something positive that could make a good change. I'm not really seeing, oh, what if the person has too much power, or I'm choosing to think that whoever is the election commissioner, the position, whatever, has a good heart and they'll be respectful with their power. And as said before, if this ultimately doesn't work out, someone will create legislation, it'll be voted upon again, and we'll see in the future how it goes. I'm just choosing to see this in a positive light of change, because things happen.
Brown and a devil. We've been on this for a long time. Forgive me.
So I will still be voting in favor of these amendments, but I wanted to further my debate. I don't think that this is akin to the Supreme Court case Brown versus Board of Education. I don't think that the Election Commission is discriminated against and that we need to bring them to the top again. Like this, they are not elected by constituents, you know, like other branches of our student government aren't elected by their constituents. They're appointed by the president and confirmed by Senate. I just don't think that, I feel like I keep hearing like we need to give a voice, and I think that's great. Like we should be collaborating and hearing what the Election Commission thinks, but I don't think that this is something that we need to, you know, make sure that they have voting rights for, because ultimately they don't have constituents that they're answering to. And I don't like the idea of just voting in favor of this bill without the amendments, on the idea of just voting in good faith and hoping it all works out. Because while that's great to think positively and like positive thoughts are great, things can go wrong. You know, we can see a domination of the exec with just people being in Greek life, and then seeing perhaps a sway of ENA to only confirm people in Greek life. Like that's, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like I just think this is not something that could, you know, go perfectly. And I don't think we should be just voting on this just in hopes that it goes well. So I will still be voting in favor of the amendments.
You guys are stressing me out. Temple.
To clarify any prior points that have been made, again, and I understand why some individuals will be voting against these amendments. I completely understand why Senator Torres, I don't mean to call you out. I'm just, I don't mean to call you out on this one, Senator Torres. My apologies in advance, but I completely understand. And of course, Senator Lacasse, change needs to happen. That's absolutely going to be a case. Progress and change, completely inevitable. It's one of three things in life that are inevitable: progress, death, and taxes. So goes Benjamin Franklin, I think. Anyway, but those changes have to be measured, and they have to do significant due diligence and upfront costs in the beginning, because that way, the more time something is pondered and discussed and deliberated on, you're going to find more flaws in the structures of those particular policy points. That's why you see next to no movement in the House or the Senate, for example, because you see those negotiations behind closed doors. And that's not to say that this is exactly a word for word, tit for tat, not tit for tat, but one for one likeness of the US Congress. By no means. We are a very different entity. Yet we are still governed by the same principles of democratic rule. And that means we need to take into consideration the views of everybody. And we need to do our due diligence and our best efforts in order to bring those voices together. And I completely understand, yes, change will happen. Change is necessary. Change is inevitable. But that change, as I said before, has to be measured in a way that it is practically implemented. Otherwise, you could very well see things that seem so ridiculous to us now but yet they still somehow come true in the long term. You need to account for those and accommodate for those situations. That's why, I said this already, that's why so much work is done to perfect the language and optimize that language rather than perfect it. Because let's face it, you won't be able to get everything. You can't get every single issue down 100%. That's just a fact. But the real fact of the matter is that the more time something is taken to address the issues and address the solutions, the more that can be caught and the more that can be ultimately rectified, negated, or just addressessed. That is the heart and soul of democratic republicanism here. We are putting that on in full display with these cameras here, and they're really burning holes in my head right now. So I say we should vote on these amendments now. I will be voting for them. I'm not sure about you all. And then we can see how things go from here. If those amendments if voting privileges ought to be considered, great. We could write a bill then, and we could do it there. But that would take far more negotiation, far more discussion. For now, we have something here that benefits everybody. It brings closer collaboration, and it brings a greater voice. This is the sweet spot here. We are going in circles on this over voting rights, which cannot be taken lightly and cannot be done in a night. It is now 10:31. We have been at this for almost 45 minutes, if not more. I say we vote on this and we can come back together to consider the opportunities as well as the consequences in the near term.
With that being said, whoever's hands are up currently are the last hands that I will take. I'm okay. So I will go, and this is in order of who has spoken the least, who has spoken the most. That's how I do it. And I also consider whose hand was up first as well, just letting you know. I will go pro tempore, Daedalus, Kringle. Y'all have like spoken equally. Okay, Lazo, then Lacasse. Please remind me or just go ahead and speak if I've said and you know your order. Go ahead, pro tempore.
I just wanted to point out that I don't think this is that crazy of a unprecedented action. I was just thinking of the ANSF budget committee. The person who chairs the committee that's been doing all the stuff behind the scenes was someone that was just appointed by the branch heads. It wasn't someone that we swore in. It's someone that made majority of the decisions that we're approving of next meeting. Like they had most of the power. They did all the work. Like they're basically they kind of basically voted on what we're going to vote on next week. Like I really don't see it as crazy as a stark difference as we've been kind of talking it to be. And there's a graduate a student at large as well that we don't vote on. So there's not really a check there, but we still let them have that influence and that vote on something that we also are voting on at the same time. So that's just something I want to put out there. I don't think the language of the original legislation is crazy or anything like that.
Next, who did I say? See, I told y'all you got to remind me. Daedalus.
I like the Marla's point, but I also wanted to, I guess, say a food for thought, because I'm hearing one side is the issue with the voting rights is voting on appointments that we're going to see next, and then another side being the EC not having a say in what the ENA committee does. So is the voting rights issue based on EC voting on the appointments or overall? Because most of the debate, I guess, on the voting rights is mostly based on the appointments that are going to be seen compared to like the overall issue of ENA passing and the appointees, if that makes sense. That's my confusion, which is why I still haven't really made a decision. Can I motion too?
A motion. There's other people that have their hand up.
I guess.
Who wants to answer that question? Pro tempore.
I mean, they're both equal issues. It's whatever you think is
the most pertinent.
Yeah, in your opinion, if that helps.
There's people with issues about the fact that senators can be seen in violation hearings. And then there's a senator sitting on, that violation hearing. There's issues with the fact that, at this point, that's all I can remember. Because there's only so much my brain can retain at this point. So that's the main one that I've heard. If anyone wants to clarify, I'm trying to speak from a non-biased point of view, but that and what Pro Tempore DeMarla said. So it's up to you to decide which issue is the most pertinent to you and how that will affect your voting. Who else did I call on? Kringle?
I'll keep it quick because we're just going in circles. I feel like everyone has their opinions at this point. Just real quick, I think we should be voting in favor of these amendments. I do understand that, we want to just go ahead and make a change, be the change that we want to see, whatever. But I think right now at this point, I would like to see someone be a representative, maybe for one election cycle, get this passed tonight, and then we can then reconvene at the end at next session maybe and get their advice saying, hey, what have you done so far? What has the supervisor done? And then we can reconvene and revote on an actual voting rights if that does come to term.
Lazo, and then Lacasse.
Once again, reiterating the fact that this is honestly amendments that we should not be voting in favor of. it honestly eradicates the purpose of this bill. And if we're going to go from the angle of the good faith argument, we could say the same for any senator. We could say the same that any person in the future, we can be cynics and we can say that everybody sucks in the future. That doesn't do anything. And lastly, if we're going to be setting the precedent, by not setting this in place, by having these amendments that literally slow down, we're just moving backwards, essentially. We're just stunting our growth as a body, and we're just not even focusing on the fact that the future is bright, how fast you want to move at it. I think this does set a good precedent, and we are a body that wants to set good precedents. I strongly urge you to vote against this.
Lacasse.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring back. Well, one, I'm gonna start with like the perspective argument first, and then like textual afterwards. But yeah, just again to kind of harp on the change thing. One, at the end of the day, it's not like a radical action. We're not like overthrowing the structure of student government here. It's just giving them a vote. And like I said, just because something's a precedent doesn't always mean it's good. And just because something seems crazy to us now or would seem radical to be instituted doesn't mean it's bad. I'm going to go back to being a history buff for a second and also doing it in honor of Black History Month. But interracial marriage seemed insane in like the 1950s. It wasn't until 1969 that got legalized in this state. And to us, that seems like something that's like obvious. So like this is such a smaller scale issue. I don't think generations are going to look back on us and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they gave ENA a voting right on EC or EC a voting right on ENA. It just makes things easier. It gives them a voice that we haven't had before. One vote isn't going to be the end all be all. I feel like this is just a good thing to do to make us more productive, to give more insight into what's going on. And so, yeah, I'm going to be against these amendments. And then do you want me to make a motion?
You can.
Motion to move to voting.
There's been a motion to move to voting procedures. Before I continue with that, I will just say, let's pay a little bit more respect to our branches, like the whole Greek life dominating exec thing. Let's just not get into that, please. Also, what I'm also going to say is he has some credibility about that. If you want to learn more, you can talk to Lacasse. I saw your faces. Anyways, there's been a motion to move to vote on this block of amendments. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. Amendments, not the bill. Again. Wait, right, Brody? Or no? Or is it? It passed. Okay. The amendments passed. We are now in debate of the legislation, the block of legislation. It's a block of legislation. So we can make a motion to vote on it because the amendment passed. ELA? Move to vote. There's been a motion to vote on the block of amendments, that being internal bill 5514 and resolution 5523. Are there any objections? I meant, they're seen as a block, my bad. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. With a vote count of 21 to 6 to 2, the block of legislation passes. We are now in resolution 5524. Is there a motion to amend the speeches, questioning, and debate to 5-minute speeches, 5-minute questioning, 5-minute debate? We're now there. We're on resolution 5524, resolution urging the University of Central Florida to be recognized as a fair trade school, introduced by Chair DeCara. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Did we want to see 5513 on third reading? Or do we want to do that like at the end?
I think I said we are.
Okay. Do you want to say that to like the end?
And then
it looks at Ethan's Marie.
I think we're gonna have to see the block that we just saw so that they can be applicable to this election. No? Okay, never mind. Just 13 then. Temple?
Are we seeing them now? Or
No,
should-
we're just seeing resolution 5524. I said after we get through all of these, we can do the whole,
Dang it.
Yeah. DeCara, you have 5 minutes when you're ready.
All right. Here's a resolution that extends beyond the confines of a university, a proposal to elevate the University of Central Florida to the status of a fair trade university. Fair trade is more than a concept. It is a philosophy rooted in justice, fairness, and sustainability. By embracing fair trade principles, we have the opportunity to make a tangible impact, not only within our campus community, but also on a global scale. Allow me to elaborate why this proposition or resolution holds significant merit. Firstly, fair trade ensures fair compensation for producers, particularly those in developing nations. This commitment breaks the chains of poverty, empowering communities to invest in education, healthcare, and essential infrastructure. Secondly, fair trade upholds ethical working conditions, safeguarding the dignity and well-being of workers. By endorsing these standards, we pledge our commitment to workplaces that are not only safe, but are characterized by respect and justice. Thirdly, the emphasis on environmental sustainability within fair trade practices aligns seamlessly with our university's commitment to ecological responsibility. By adopting such practices, we contribute to preservation of ecosystems, biodiversity, and the overall health of our planet. Furthermore, by becoming a fair trade university signifies more than a commitment to ethical commerce. It opens doors for educational opportunities. It provides a platform to raise awareness about global economic issues, and encourages dialogue on responsible consumption and sustainable business practices. As a community dedicated to learning, leadership, and positive societal impact, I propose that UCF, come together and support this cause. By becoming a fair trade university, we send a message to our students, our faculty, in the world that ethical choices do matter, and our institution, if we became a fair trade, would be the first in the state of Florida, would stand as a beacon for positive change. I look to you to recognize this transformative potential it holds. Let us collectively contribute to a world where fairness, justice, and sustainability are not merely ideals, but integral aspects of our identity. I yield the rest of my time.
Alrighty, we are now in line for questioning. Temple?
Sorry, you're gonna hear my voice again, and this time it's about economics. Let's go. In any case, so yeah, first off, love the bill, but we'll get to that in a minute. But just out of curiosity, do you know of any other institutions that are fair that do subscribe to the fair trade philosophy?
If I'm correct, it's like Georgia Southern. There's like one in Alabama, there's one in Georgia. Technically, Winter Park is a fair trade town. That's a thing. So if you go to like fair trade schools, it tells you about all the campaigns and such, and it gives you a little map of like each one. There's campaigns, which is kind of like different ways, like they're looking to get more into it. But ours is there. UF has one, but they haven't even done anything. But technically, University of Alabama Birmingham has completed all 5 different checkpoints to become a fair trade university, so it's recognized as a fair trade university. I think University of UNC has 4 out of 5. And then like UNC Asheville is considered a fair trade school because it meets all 5 checkpoints. So we're the only one in the state of Florida. If we were able to get Cartwright to sign off and move into these principles of what fair trade is, we'd be the first university in the state of Florida.
Hers?
I may have missed this information. I apologize. I was still getting over the anxiety of the last thing. What are the benefits of being a fair trade school?
Your morals. Basically, a lot of certain things across the world are, taken. The metals in your phone can be taken by cobalt mines or mined from children that are like 6 years old. And there's certain products that are taken these products are then sent to consumers, and these products are taken from 6-year-olds in the middle of nowhere being paid for 2 cents for every whatever they yield. Like they're not. It's more of like a understanding that we're paving the future for like us stepping into this campaign and being a part of it for the future. Is kind of like a respect to the people that are these products are coming from. There's a bunch of fair trade products. There's like a ton, and these products are known to come from their workers are compensated. They're in like healthy conditions. They're equal. They're paid with correct compensation. They're not, what's the word? Yeah, literally, like this is just an ethical thing at this point. Like a lot of fair trade is literally just on the basis of the products are ethically obtained and produced.
Any other questions? Hurst?
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Lacasse, Temple.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think this would be a great thing for the university to pursue because just generally like Chair DeCara had said, there can be like really nasty like conditions that these individuals are working in, child labor, for example, as he brought up, and so I think it'd be very good just to have our university, ensure that everything is sourced properly. There's something else I was gonna say, but yeah, this is really good. So I encourage you to vote in favor.
All right, Temple.
I will concur with Senator Lacasse. This is not the first time I've actually seen this sort of resolution before. Back in the 53rd session, former GAP Vice Chair Nicole Boyson, an avid environmentalist and major proponent of fair trade, had issued one of these resolutions, and that was the first time I've ever kind of looked into what fair trade was. And looking back on it now, it's extremely important for us to have that sense of I can't even speak. Good Lord. Morality and ethics when it comes to sourcing our products, and not to mention, if done right, it could be far more efficient as well. I'm not going to get into the weeds of economic theory. You guys are already it's 11 o'clock. I'm not even going to try and attempt it. But my waffling aside, I will be supporting this resolution, and I encourage you all to do the same. I will bug you all with economics later.
Is there a motion to move to voting procedures? All right, we're now there. With a vote count of 29 to 0, Resolution 5524 passes on second reading. Resolution 50, Hurst.
Sorry. Seeing as we're running out of time a little bit, I motion for a adjustment of the times. 3-minute speech, 3-minute questioning, 3-minute debate.
There's been a motion for 3 minutes for amending the time to 3-minute speeches, 3-minute questioning, 3-minute debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. Resolution 5525, resolution promoting gun safety and education on the UCF campus, introduced by Chair Lazo. Chair Lazo, you have 3 minutes when you're ready.
So I don't think I need to go into specifics about how important gun safety and advocating for proper gun and firearm response and education is. I also don't need to go into the specifics about the recent swath of tragedies afflicting university campuses across the nation, the state of Florida, and recently here at UCF. So this resolution really pushes for on-campus safety, education, and resources that will protect UCF students, faculty, and staff. So one of the ways that this will be done, like I mentioned earlier, is a partnership with UCF PD, who have honestly really risen to the task and impressed me with their response, as well as their emphatic dedication to safety. So alongside that partnership with UCF PD, this resolution aims to update resources that will show that students, faculty, and staff what exactly to do in the event of an active shooter threat, such as those run, hide, and fight educational videos, a new one which should be coming out in about fall, web course modules that are currently being worked on and that will remain accessible should any student need them, and the ability to properly respond in the event of a threat with active assailant tabletop training, which UCF PD already offers. So like I said, this resolution aims to give the UCF population a more comprehensive plan on what to do in the event of an active shooter threat. And it's a resolution that really emphasizes our safety, our education around such an incredibly heavy subject.
Do you yield?
I yield my time, sorry.
We're now in line for questioning. Are there any questions? If not, I'll take a motion. Hurst.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. Hamid, Brown, Temple.
I am in full support of this resolution. The measures that are being taken by UCFPD, like making a web course that will remain active and making an updated video, will help save lives, hopefully in the future if it comes down to it. An active shooter could happen anywhere at any time to anyone, and that is an imminent threat that we sadly have to live with in society as it is today. The best we can do right now is to help students understand what they can do in that situation. And I believe that this resolution can really help students feel safe here and know what they have here. So I am in support of this.
Brown?
Yeah, I also really like this resolution. I think it's really important today. And although in high school we would frequently see videos about what to do in an active shooter situation, I've never seen any content like that or been required to see any content like that during my college experience. So hearing that they're working on a web course, stuff like that, I think is great, and I will be voting in favor.
Temple?
So I'm just going to be upfront and say this. I am in full support of this resolution, but I want to tell a quick story on this. So many of you may not know this, but I did actually go to a gun range once and I did shoot a few guns. They were pretty small caliber, 22 LR, 45, 9mm. Well, yeah, not like beefy rounds, but a bullet is a bullet. A bullet is still something that can tear into your skin and do all sorts of graphic things that I can't really say on such a stream. But nevertheless, when I first took hold of I believe it was a Glock 17, that thing, it looks heavier than it looks. Yes, it's made of polymer, but it's really heavy and it's really daunting, even for something that looks as simple as a Glock. And it really puts into perspective just how dangerous these things are. These unassuming pieces of plastic or these unassuming pieces of metal and wood. They have the capacity to do so much with such tiny things. Like a bullet, like the actual bullet, bar in the case, is so small, and it can harm in so many ways. It's really, I commend you, Senator Lazo, or Chair Lazo, sorry, for putting this forward and for advocating for gun safety and education, because that is, like, we live in a nation of guns. Like, we beat out Switzerland by a lot, and trust me, they have a lot of guns up in those hills or mountains, I suppose. Don't mean to insult any Swiss people here, but but unlike us, they go through mandatory military training. They know how to handle rifles, and these are like 5.56 caliber rifles. These are equivalent to our standard issue rifles and we use in the Army. And we see so many instances and so many cases of individuals shooting themselves, shooting others, shooting anything and everything. We need these sorts of education programs. This needs to happen. And I for one would love to attend one of these classes as well, because there are benefits to having weapons. I personally probably won't ever own one, but it is good to know those skills. And like any good student, it is incumbent upon us to learn about these skills, because we never know when we're going to use them in the long term.
All right, with 3 in affirmation, Temple?
Move to vote on Resolution 5525.
There's been a motion to vote on Resolution 5525. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. With a vote of 27 to 0 to 2, Resolution 5525 passes. We are now on proclamations. Proclamation 5513, proclamation recognizing February 11th as International Day of Women and Girls in Science, introduced by Chair Lazo. Chair Lazo, you have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Nice of you speaking to y'all again. Just bring a little bit of levity into this night. This is really such an important bill, and honestly such a hopeful bill, simply because as a former STEM girl myself, I did robotics all throughout middle school and high school. I can see just how important it is to create these safe spaces for a very underrepresented group of women that are trying to make their way through sciences and engineering and the mathematics. It's a community that often you don't feel very supported in as a woman. And I really wanted to commend UCF and commend STEM majors and STEM programs across the world that are advocating for women taking up these spaces. UCF, actually, if you want to look into that bill, UCF has pretty strong numbers of female enrollment in things such as like optics and photonics, and that's really only the beginning. They really only have the growth and the space to grow above that from now on. And that's basically what this proclamation does. It essentially awards UCF for trying to make those efforts and also commends them for continuing that spirit of growth. I yield my time.
Alrighty. Anyone wishing to debate? Temple?
I believe we're still in questioning.
Oh, questioning? My bad. Questions? Temple?
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Samila,
May I retain?
you may.
Slay. Okay, move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote on Proclamation 5513. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. With a vote count of 29 to 0 to 1, Proclamation 5513 passes on its final reading. We're going to move Internal Bill 5513 to third reading. Sorry, we're not done yet. And it's just, a little thingy thing. Y'all just saw it. So Temple had his hand up first. I want to give it to him.
Move to return to the approval of the agenda.
There's been a motion to move to the approval of the agenda. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Temple.
Move to place Internal Bill 5513 under internal legislation, notice of legislation on third reading.
There's been a motion to move Internal Bill 5513 to internal legislation, notice of legislation on third reading. Are there any objections? Seeing none.
It's
okay, Temple.
Move to reapprove the agenda.
There's been a motion to reapprove the agenda. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Temple.
Move to return to internal legislation, notice of legislation on third reading.
There's been a motion to move to internal legislation, notice of legislation on third reading. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Is there a motion for 1 minute speeches, 1 minute questioning, 1 minute debate? All right. DeCara, when you're ready.
Same thing as before. I yield my time.
We're now in questioning. Hurst.
Anyone want a question? Or else I'm gonna
Move to debate. We're now in, there's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. Samila,
May I retain?
you may.
It's the same thing as before, and we all voted in favor. So with that, move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote on Internal Bill 5513. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now there. With a vote count of 29 to 0 to 1, Internal Bill 5513 passes on third reading. Is there a motion to move to Senate Forum? Is anyone wishing to speak in Senate Forum? We'll go, we'll go Lacasse and Temple.
Awesome. So I was thinking it'd be closer to 10 o'clock when I was speaking than 11. So I'll try to keep this shorter than I would have otherwise. But seeing it as it is my last meeting, I just want to say thank you all for being part of the 55th session with me. It's been so real, y'all. You guys are awesome, putting in a lot of hard work. It doesn't go unnoticed. If you're someone who is recently joined, feel free to speak up more. It's always great to have voices involved and have lively discussion. You'll never get livelier than Chair Temple, so don't worry about that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I wish I had something prepared, but just know that y'all are great. I'll have more specifics in Senator shoutouts. But yeah, thank you so much, and it's been an amazing time.
Listen, Temple.
Man, you guys are having a laugh with me here. But yeah, first and foremost, of course, thank you for all the service that you have done for the Senate. At Senator Lacasse, it sucks to see you go, and I'm not just saying that because I'm losing a member from GAP, but seriously, you are somebody who's just been omnipresent and somebody who's just a really good person to speak with. So we're gonna miss you in that seat. But in any case, so for those who may not know, tomorrow there is an employment expo hosted. It's being organized by Commissioner Emily Bonilla of District 5. So kind of where we're at. So it is in the Renaissance Senior Center, I believe. I'll have details for you guys after this, but for those who may have gotten a poster last week, my apologies, didn't have the time there. So that the expo itself, is going from 8 to 3. And who knows, you may actually see me bounce around a bit there, but you certainly will. But if you guys want to, you are more than welcome to attend this, either as a volunteer or as somebody who wants to find a job. And don't worry, you guys bring your resumes, you'll be able to get interviews on the spot. which is a luxury that I know a lot of people would want to have. And of course, like I said, the post to actually be in this chat right now, but I'm just giving you guys a heads up because it is tomorrow, and we've been absolutely dying to see people come to these events. So if you guys want to, have at it.
Hers.
I'm not shouting like anybody out any in particular. I'm not trying to like promote something. So cool to promote things. I don't care. I want to say that we talk a lot about very difficult issues in this body. I know that I wasn't here for fall, but I was watching when we talked about some certain legislation that got a lot of hot heads. And we had one in summer and we've had this one. And it's probably not going to be the last time we have some hot heads in the next 2 months. But I want to commend everyone for keeping a level head and not letting it get the best of you and letting it affect your emotional state. I know that it can cause anxiety to have to deal with stressful situations. People are not always agreeing on things, but I want to commend everyone for keeping their cool and remembering that we are here to do our jobs. We are not here to take this personally. So thank you all for doing that.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Senate deliberations. Are there any senators wishing to deliberate on a specific subject? Seeing none, advisors report. Brody.
All right, hey everybody. Not a lot for me. It is the end of the pay period, so for those in paid positions, please submit your time tonight. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm sick, so this is all you get from me. Senator shoutouts. Let's do it. LaCasse, take it away.
All right, guys, you gotta bear with me because I'm gonna basically go around the room. If you don't get called on, it just might be because I'm just like not as familiar with you, but you're still awesome. So I'm gonna start over here on the left with Chair DeCara. Shout out Chair DeCara with all the legislation he's been putting out, like all the proclamations, resolutions. You literally put in so much work, like even when you like don't need to. Absolutely well-deserved applause. Speaker Holmes, you are so strong. You're such a powerful like speaker, and I can't imagine anyone else being in that seat. And so it's great having been in this session with you as chair. I can't imagine being anyone else. Pro Temp DeMarla, you are always so kind and caring and open, and you are someone who I feel like I could just always come up to and talk to you about anything. And I think you are just excellent for the role you like fill, and again, I can imagine anyone else being there. Let's see, Senator Whitson, my fellow Terrier. We went to high school together, so I got to shout you out. Let's see. I guess there's Chair Temple. No, honestly, so Chair Temple was the first person I met in student government when we had orientation the first day. I did not know who this man was. He was very lively, but I was like, what? I can get down with this. If I can get down with this energy. So thank you for just being someone who's lively, outspoken, and is willing to take people in. It's been an honor being in GAP with you. I know I've said it a few times already, but couldn't imagine it being anyone else. Let's see. Chair Hamid for like doing a bomb job with SBA. Literally, like you guys dominate all the time. Like Sierra posted like what article in like the Senate chat. You guys like kill it. Chair Hamid, you keep them under control, even when they try not to, get tamed by you. But like, you're real for that. Chair Yalman Chili, what is there to say about this Mun nerd? I mean, you're someone who I feel very lucky to have gotten to know throughout the time that I've been in Senate, and yeah, I'm sure we'll keep in touch. But it's gonna be weird not being in this room with you. Let's see, Chair Fantel doing a great job with a LGBTQ plus caucus. I know that you kind of fell into it after Chair Carter left, so props for like being able to like keep up with that. Yale Richmond, you are so personable. You again are someone who I feel like I just come up to and talk about anything. You are so welcoming and inviting, and it has been so great getting to know you. Isla Pullman, Isla Pullman, you're also just a very like kind person. You're funny, and like I don't know. I've seen you do a great job with like the SGLCers and everything like that. So again, great. Let's see. What else we got? Chair Daedalus. Amazing with Black Caucus. She, guys, just remember, you don't have to be black to join Black Caucus. So like, please join, help us out, show your support. Come on, stand with us. What happened to the, I'm not black, but I stand with you. I'm not black, but I see you. Come on, guys. But yeah, Chair Daedalus, you're amazing. So thank you for like all you've done with Black Caucus. Let's see here. Lazo, shout out Lazo, 4'9" and killing it. I mean, like I've never seen someone so short who stands so tall. But I look forward to hearing about everything that goes on with Women's Caucus. I feel like you're a great choice for a chair, and yeah, so I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss that energy. And Vice Chair Hurst, again, somebody else I've just gotten to know throughout my time in Senate, and you've got a personality. But I'd say it's a good thing. But again, the energy between you and Temple, the bickering, I don't think it would be the same without it. And to everybody else I didn't shout out, you guys are all also so amazing. And also shout out everybody who has like joined this session in like the past like semester or so, catching like the tail end of it, but there's still so much work to be done. And I look forward to all the great things this body does. So that is the end of my shout outs. I know that I shouted out like over half this chamber probably. Thank you to whoever's keeping notes for this. But yeah, so thank you guys.
All right, Amanda.
I get to go for Ethan. Yay. Okay. So first of all, shout out to Brody for being here while he's sick. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Okay. Next, shout out to Lacasse for doing more shout outs than I think Temple has done in a long time. So good job getting over the record. Shout out to Netta for taking amazing notes. We love Netta. We're going to miss you when you finally graduate. We love you. Shout out to Supervisor Myers for being awesome. Love you very much. And shout out to the rest of you for being like really good people, just in general.
Laurel.
Shout out to the SLCers. Unshout out to Kirsten. She was upset about that. Shout out to Anna. I actually know her parents, which is crazy. So shout out her parents too. Shout out Andrea. I sat on the bus with her. Shout out Allison. Shout out all the neurosurgeons in here, Akila, Vanessa, and shout out Sierra. All I'm gonna say is I couldn't sing her happy birthday, which is crazy, but we saw all those shout outs.
All right, Ethan.
You want to bet I can do more than Lacasse? Don't worry, I know. I'll spare you all. It's already 11:10, and I'm tired as well. But of course, where do I start but those who attended Day at the Capitol, which is already 50 people. So So I got both in one stone. But in any case, yes, everyone who went to Day at the Capitol, you all absolutely crushed it. Of course, except me. I'm excising myself out from that. But yeah, Day at the Capitol could not have been any better. Shout out to Brody and Grace and Aiden as well for giving us more insight into the legislation that we saw. However contentious it may have been, it was all very, very thought-provoking. And I'm really glad that we were all able to have civil conversations on this matter. Of course, shout out to Lacasse. We are really going to miss you and your advocacy. Like the energy that you put in, it may be more muted, but it's certainly more palpable than you may think. Shout out to CRT and of course, especially to Vice Chair Carrinkle for taking up the, wait, were you here on Monday? I'm sorry, but yeah, no. Shout out to CRT as a whole for having to go through that entire list of allocations. That is brutal for you guys, but you guys have the stamina, the energy, and the grit to go through all of that. And I sincerely commend you all for doing it. Like you and FAO both do a lot of great work. And this of course means I'm shouting out FAO at the same time. But yes, keep doing what you're doing. and you guys are utterly destroying it. Let's make this last part of the semester count. And of course, shout out to my new boss, Chair Rose. Congratulations on becoming chair. And I cannot wait to see you go about ORS in these last few months. You are going to do fantastic. And anti-shout out to you, Hurst, because she used me as a coat hanger on the bus. Why? She also used me as an ottoman too, but that's another point we could discuss at a later time.
All right. Torres.
I'll keep it short and simple. Shout out to Chair Hamid and Vice Chair Vasquez. SBA is a delight. So fun being there. I love the cookies. And finally, shout out to Chair DeCara and Chair Lazo. Hispanic Caucus is amazing, even though it's so short.
Shout out to my vice chair Vasquez. I really did miss her this Tuesday when she was at Day of the Capitol. I was lonely. Like the seat next to me was empty. Like it felt like I felt sad. Like I'm being for real. But just seeing how passionate she was about all the work she was doing, like it makes me really inspired by her work ethic. Like she goes crazy, guys. Also, shout out to Chair Lazo. The work she's put into her legislation is so slay. I love seeing her go from first starting it to now having it be passed. Is really slay.
Yeah.
Firstly, shout out to Chair Rose for being elected chair of ORS. I can't wait to see the wonderful things you will do with that committee. Next, shout out to Vice Chair Caringle. I just joined the CRT committee. I don't have much fiscal knowledge. This Monday, I was even a little concerned to talk or ask questions, but you slayed it, and you made me learn a lot about CRT, and you asked really insightful questions to those who came in, and so I really thank you for strengthening my understanding of fiscal, which I will admit is rather weak right now. Next, I would like to shout out Senator Lacasse. You are a great friend. I will miss you. Again, I'll continue to keep in touch. But thank you for everything you've done, especially in the work of the GAP committee. You are such an awesome person, and I can't understate that. So thank you for being here, and good luck in what you do after this Senate. Next, I would like to shout out, and I would place emphasis on the first word, Sir Chair Temple, for being such an awesome chair for the GAP committee, and for as bringing it home for Day at the Capitol. Day at the Capitol went great. I would say that while last year's was great as well, this year's Day at the Capitol was much better. I don't say this as a joke. So legitimately, shout out to Chair Temple for all the hard work he's put in. Shout out to the GAP committee for its efforts in helping with Day at the Capitol. That cannot be understated. Lastly, I would like to shout out Neda. I remember seeing in the minutes that you graduate this semester. We'll miss you, and so thank you for being here for us. You are also such an awesome person as well. And lastly, I would like to say shout out to Senator Pallera for being my group mate at Day at the Capitol. It was great to lobby with you, and I really liked that opportunity. So shout out to him as well. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Anna.
Hi, I just want to give a shout out to Laurel for shouting at my parents. That was just long story short, that was a situation that we should definitely say thank you for Laurel for helping my parents and the reason that she knows my parents. So yeah, shout out to Laurel.
All right, Kylie.
Again, I just wanted to thank Adam. I got into a pretty bad car accident on Sunday night, so I did call him hysterically crying, and it was so late, and he took over so quickly for me, and it was really appreciative, and like I just love him so much. So yeah, but just a shout out to Adam for that.
Emily?
Shout out now Chair Rose for being the ORS chair now. I think that's great. Shout out Hurst, because I thought you had really interesting things to say today, and I always enjoyed everything you said. So that's great. And then also shout out Torres, I believe, because earlier you said like, oh, I'm finally getting the courage to speak up. And I think that's so awesome and so real, because it can be really nerve-wracking speaking in front of everyone. So yeah, great job.
Adam.
Shout out to Chair Samila for letting me chair for a day. That was very fun. But seriously, thank you for like teaching me everything about Senate and fiscal knowledge. I really do appreciate you. Shout out to, let's see here. Let's do shout out to Chair Hurst. Always amazing. Chair Temple as well, and Chair Yamansili for coming to join us in CRT. You made a good choice. Yep. And then last but not least, shout out to the new senators of CCIE for picking up really quickly and just joining in the fun. So,
One.
So I wanted to begin by shouting out everyone. So far I've learned so much from every single one of you guys. And despite the seriousness of today's debate, I have to say I had a phenomenal time watching everyone go back and forth. I really did get to learn from everyone. Thank you.
Aria.
Hi everyone. Just wanted to shout out Back Caucus as always. CCIE as always, cause hello, we're two friends already. And for Preston, of course, for the effort you made. Like, these are my kids, y'all, and they're just leaving me. But you have fun, I guess.
All right. Ariel.
Shout out to Laurel. She was amazing and super supportive of all my initiatives. So thank you, Queen.
All right, Paige.
Shout out to Austin for the pen he gave me that he definitely didn't steal from work.
And I'm sorry, Ariana. I knew it was wrong when I said it. Ariana, I got it. Laurel.
No, shout out Ariana. She's the epitome of an IB kid. Like, I knew the second I met her.
Let's assume that's a positive thing. All right, Ethan.
Weird flex, but okay, I guess. But in any case, I forgot one more shout out, and that is, of course, to JC and to Kirsten. Aside from, of course, absolutely destroying it at Day at the Capitol, we found our new regen us. Not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing, but watch out for them and Kirsten next time you see them, because who knows?
Preston.
I promised I wouldn't pull an Ethan and have like a second like list of shout outs, but I forgot when I was first doing it to shout the advisors. So yeah, I'm gonna shout Maddie first because they weren't here today. But shout out Netta. Like, if you haven't done a one-on-one with Netta, do it. Netta's like so awesome to talk to, and if you haven't talked to her, you are missing out dearly. And shout out Brody for just like, I don't know, you have a very comforting presence, and I feel like that is what we need, because like, you know, even if things get like tense for a second, I feel like you're like the wise sage that kind of like brings everything down. And then shout out to Supervisor Myers. I got to talk to her a little bit during Day at the Capitol, and she is just a rad person. But yeah, so that's it.
All right. Any other shout outs? Okay, Netta.
Great meeting. I'm feeling very nostalgic. I think this is how you spell nostalgia. Is it no? I don't know how to spell. Yeah. You need it. There you go. Whatever. There's this song that I listen to and it's called Nostalgia. I don't know who it's by. But yeah, I'm feeling nostalgia about what I'll do Thursday nights once I graduate already. So before I'm gone and it's too late, set up a one-on-one with me. That is all. And there's a cat I put in under Maddie. Enjoy it.
All right. Are there any questions for the advisors? Seeing none, miscellaneous business, demolish drip down.
Okay, y'all. I had a hard time this week, but I'm going to do my best. For honorable mention, I put down Aaron and Juan for really nice jewelry. I liked it, and I'm not a big jewelry person, so I really liked it. If you guys want to show it off, your chain, do a little Show your chain. They're pretty. They're gold too. I like gold. And then for third, I have Torres. I like the design on the sweater. If you want to give us a spin. Yeah. Simple but effective with the belts. Looks great. For second, I have a duo, Chris and Preston, for the floral themed shirts. The vibes are good. And in first place, I have to give it to Sierra. We're both wearing black. I love the design on her shirt. The boots are cute, and it's Black History Month. Let's go.
Thanks, Akila. She just paid homage to my ancestors, so gold star. Oh, we'll give it to Preston.
I was going to give it to him anyway. I was going to yield to him.
Okay, Temple.
I yield to Preston or Senator Lacasse.
So generous. Motion to adjourn pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn pending final roll call. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Chair Yalman-Chile, still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Despite an exam tomorrow morning.
Aw,
but yes,
please study.
I will. Lazo.
Present.
Trainer. Absent. Corelli. Absent. Morissette. Absent. Temple.
Good evening.
Guerrero. Absent. Blanco.
Present.
Polera.
Present.
Caringle.
Present.
Datlas.
Present.
DeCara.
Here.
Butler.
Present.
Conti. Absent. Shannon. Absent. Lazier.
Present.
Fintel.
Present.
Hamid.
Present.
Rose.
Here.
Whitson.
Here.
Brown.
Present.
Similo.
Present.
Humayun.
Present.
Patel.
Present.
I am present. Luthra. Absent. Acosta. Absent. Borges. Absent. Lopez.
Present.
Hashimi.
Present.
Duke. Absent. Torres.
Present.
Holmes.
Present.
Hurst.
Present.
Fuchs.
Present.
Lacasse.
Present.
Freehofer.
Present.
Federico.
Present.
Pullman.
Present.
Richmond.
Present.
Vasquez.
Present.
Rivera. Kairos Rivera. Absent. DeMarla.
Here.
Mittal. With 32 out of 43, quorum is verified.
I hereby adjourn this meeting at 11:24 p.m. Go home.